Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's podcast number 131. I'm your host, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, along with Johnny V, and happy Valentine's Day to everyone. Where else would you people rather be than right here for Valentine's?
Not out with your loved ones?
Nah.
My loved one's upstairs. She's
Nah.
actually home tonight. Normally she does knitting, but I think all the old ladies have dates other than her.
All right. Well, I'll also say happy belated birthday to your loved one.
Yeah.
She turned
39 again, as they say.
As they say. So happy birthday to Sarah upstairs. Since we're going full updates on things too, someone asked just before the show if I'm going to be up and doing laundry, and some people saw it online. I finally got it done.
Way to go. You're 38 years old, and you've got yourself another laundry machine. Congratulations.
But as Gary Vaynerchuk will tell you, patience. He'll play the patience game all day long, and that's exactly what I did. I had a little fighting back and forth with our friends over at Sears Home Warranties, but when it was all said and done, for a $29 lid lock switch that they couldn't find or replace, they replaced our entire stacked unit washer and dryer. How that...
I probably could have fixed it with a paper clip somehow.
I'm sure you could have, but nonetheless, no washer and dryer action here. Brand new one at home, and I'm excited about it. So thank you guys for joining us. We got a great show in store for you. Of course, the famed Philo will be joining us. We're looking for him at about 9:30, so in about 30 minutes, we'll have him joining us. And we've got the return of Dynamite again. He's back. He's back. He was back a few weeks ago, but he's been laying low.
He's back now.
We're going to have Dynamite. He's got some great updates. We've got some information on the Next Generation Tour, which I'll gladly relay on to you guys. We also have seen a little bit of Disc Golf Pro Tour news and some Disc Golf World Tour news all in the last few days. So we'll be able to talk about those things.
We've got a disc review from DGN tonight. Disc Golf Nerd dropped us the newest, the Caltrop, I believe it's pronounced. So
okay.
We're going to get a chance to see that a little later, too.
Well, and it's a Tuesday, so that means get out and vote. What for? Everything, apparently. So we've seen from both the Disc Golf World Tour and as well as the Disc Golf Pro Tour that there's a lot of voting going on for fan interaction about which players you guys would like to see on some of the featured cards. This isn't necessarily new. I think it's becoming more and more of a trend here. But during the first opening rounds of events, we saw it at the World Tour event for Australia Open, and now we're seeing it at both Vegas as well as at the Memorial. There is fan interaction that can take place. If you go out to the respective Facebook pages, you can vote on which players you'd like to see on the leader cards. I know on the men's side...
I liked them all. Is that good?
Yeah, just keep doing that. On the men's side, we know that Paul McBeth is in. I believe that's because he probably won the event last year. And then you can vote for the other three males. On the women's side, there's going to be 3 women on a card. Katrina won last year, so you're going to see Katrina already in, and then 2 other women can be voted in for coverage. For that featured card. And we could debate all day long about featured cards and whether they're helpful or not.
They're bad for the sport. They're good for the sport.
They're great for media. They're horrible for media. They're great for fans. Fans hate it. So get out and vote is really what I'm saying there. So, and we'll also, oh my gosh, we'll have to at some point recap Brian Schweberger, our first ever Battle Box satellite champion, our Battle Box champion,
demolishing the competition.
Oh my gosh, crushing
for final score at least.
Madison Walker in our first ever Battle Box. We'll get to that a little bit later and give you guys a recap and how we're going to improve on that as well. So I think he's got updates, he's got curls, and he's got all the good looks. None other than Dynamite.
Boom goes the Dynamite.
Dana, how are we doing tonight, buddy?
Doing good. That was nice. You were actually kind of nice. So thank you for that, and thanks for playing the intro, Johnny. Looks good.
Every once in a while, I like to throw it in there. I think he's nice to you because your beard's gone. I think that's what it is. He's scared. He's usually scared of your beard.
Yep.
Say it.
Jealous or scared?
Yes, definitely.
Both.
Yeah. It was kind of getting in my way the other day, so I just shaved it.
At one point, we're going to probably see voting into these feature cards things like McPants or maybe Dana's beard. I think we may see some other random write-ins happen and take place. Dana's beard could be running around. Dana, we're not going to see you at some of these opening events. Do we need to have a conversation with your Valentine, your better half, about that? What's going on?
No, you don't have to talk to her about it. You can talk to me.
That's a subtle way to say, please don't talk to her about it, guys.
As Terry knows, but maybe not everybody. My wife is a teacher, and she is also currently taking online courses for her master's. So she is very busy, and we have a little human who is a year and a half old. So with that being considered, it's just too difficult for me to leave during the school year. So to play in some of these early season events, I definitely would like to be there, but it's just too much. It's too much stress on her, on me as well, and I'm okay with it. It's happy days here at the Vichy house.
Yeah, but there's like dozens of dollars you could be winning out on that tour.
I know bonuses. I'm missing out on dozens of dollars and bonuses for 20th place. Wait.
All right, so last week we missed you on the show. There were a number of our favorite disc golf ambassadors and movers and shakers and course designers. You guys were gone, but yet seemed to all reconvene in one warm location down in the Orlando area. You got any updates where you were, or what you were doing?
Yeah, I was working with Disc Golf Park. We were attending the Golf Industry Show, and down there promoting disc golf. If you didn't guess, disc golf on golf courses. Trying to work with more golf courses here in the future. Help provide some revenue streams. But yeah, John Hauk was in attendance with his crew, and the DD gang was there. I think they were rolling pretty deep. I saw Cool Daddy Slick Breeze, Rusco, Emac, and then I think Rusco's brother was running around, maybe even a few other people. But so 3 different groups at the show promoting disc golf, which I think is pretty awesome. Even though we might be, I guess some people might say we're taking maybe jobs from each other, but I look at it as that's competition's good, and then on top of that, maybe disc golf seems a little more serious to some of these guys. So it was a good show. Talked to a lot of different golf course owners or superintendents or pros or whomever it might have been, and hopefully whether it's us as Disc Golf Park or DD or Hauk, we'll be working with some more golf courses in the near future, and I think that's a win for everybody.
Now, do you feel like we one of the in just a week or so, we're going to be over at I believe it's the Wild Horse Country Club in Las Vegas, which I have yet to visit, but we'll be there. There's going to be 3 different disc golf courses at that national tour event. Obviously, we're going to be at Glass Blown Open. We're going to see the Country Club, which has become one of the most famous disc golf courses used in top-level play. Do you see the industry, the golf industry, accepting us and then using that as simply an additional revenue stream? Or do you think we're going to see more golf courses actually just outright shut down and then a new opportunity for disc golf to move in there after the fact? Is there any way to gauge that?
I think the easiest answer is both, because golfers are, it's just in decline at the moment, and so many courses are struggling. Bringing disc golf in can, in the right area, for a very minimal investment, can really bring in quite a bit of revenue. For instance, I ran, not that Pine Hills is struggling, but I ran a ice bowl at Pine Hills in Ottawa, Illinois. It's a golf course. We had 80 people come out on a Sunday in February, and it turns out to be a pretty big day for the golf course. And I think when these owners and superintendents and managers start hearing things like that, and then hearing the success story coming out of Emporia, or maybe out of, even though it's closed, Verdugo in LA, or even our disc golf park put a course in North Las Vegas that's doing really well. I think that when these people hear the success stories, they're gonna have to really, consider it. And of course, disc golf isn't for every golf course, but in the right situations, in the right areas, it can fit, and I think it can, maybe even save a golf course. And of course, a lot of these places are closing down, and that's awesome for us to hop into and establish maybe a disc golf course there. Always keeping an eye on that. I've been working with the Cook County Forest Preserve in Illinois. They purchased an old golf course called Rolling Knolls in Elgin, and I've been working with them to put a disc golf course in, and they finally have the tee pads in and put sleeves in, and we're nearing, it's been, I think, over 3 years, but finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. But it was a really nice golf course, really tight, a lot of elevation, so great for disc golf. It's going to be a fun course. But so long answer, yes. I think we're gonna see more and more owners and managers reach out to us versus maybe foot golf. That's a popular thing that I hear at these trade shows, whether it's Park and Rec trade show or this golf show. They say, yeah, we're thinking about foot golf, or we have foot golf. The only thing about that, from my vantage point, is that I think it's kind of a one and done thing. You might go play foot golf with your friends once and be done. Where disc golfers, there's there's a ton of us, and we're rabid, and we love to play and to jump at an opportunity for golf carts and drinks and restaurants and amenities, because a lot of times we're in parks and we don't even have a bathroom to use. So that's something that I really try to get across to these golf courses considering disc golf is, hey, we're ready for something like a golf course.
Okay. Well, I know you've been working on it's a little bit of material, which is what makes you one of our favorite contributors to the show. You do homework way more than Johnny or me. So what do you got for us? What have you been working on?
Well, let me sip my Silly Pint.
Yeah, you are.
Disc
Silly
golf.
Pint, a sponsor renewing their sponsorship for the 2017 Disc Golf Pro Tour. Easy plug there.
Yep, I set you up for that one. Pretty good. We're on the level here. So yeah, this last weekend there were some disc golf tournaments. Up north in Michigan was the Cracked Plastic Classic. Terry, I didn't see your name on there, although I didn't scroll down to the advanced field.
We actually spoke of it real briefly when we were at our Big Freeze. It was like 4 or 5 in the afternoon, and I had said how I would rather be at the Cracked Plastic than the Big Freeze because I didn't have a partner and I wasn't playing. And Terry turns to me and goes, "We could still go."
Yeah.
It's about a 4 to 5 hour drive for us. And I was like, well, I don't have anything ready. I'm like, nah. I backed out. I said, no,
Shoulda
thanks.
went.
We should have
Shoulda
went.
went.
We should have went. Because that's a Larry LeBond, assuming he's still putting it on. He puts on a phenomenal event. The course is a lot of fun. It's a short pitch and putt course. And Terry's had some history of good luck there.
Or really solid play.
Good luck.
2008 Glow World Champion.
Terry, you've won a playoff there for first, right? Or did you lose it?
No, I don't think I've ever lost a playoff there.
Okay.
I've won outright a few times, various tournaments. Yeah, good time.
Well, what you guys missed out on was 40-mile-an-hour winds. Relatively mild weather, considering some of the weather we've had in the past there. But the winds and the mud weren't enough to stop George Bino from getting disc golf rich. Yep, George Bino took down first place. I think he won somewhere in the neighborhood of $500.
$585, not bad.
Yeah, and he's sponsored by Discraft, so I'm sure he's got a nice little bonus from that. Rounding out the top 5 were Tim Weimer, Ziggy, Taylor Samala from Chicago, and Mike Conley. And I wanted to give Mike Conley a shout out. think that's a name that you guys are gonna want to keep an eye on. He's a really solid player from Illinois who is, I think he's going to be on tour quite a bit this year. He might be playing the whole Disc Golf Pro Tour, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him maybe get hot sometime and grace a lead card. Maybe get him a little bit of SmashBoxx, but yeah, keep an eye out for Mike. And then way down south in Texas, surprise, surprise, they had a couple B tiers, probably a few C tiers as well. But Paige Pierce went back to back, chalked up another 2 wins to start the season. So for those counting at home, that's 3 for 3, and it's got to feel good. Officially with the new bag and moving, getting us closer to the NT and the Disc Golf Pro Tour. But winning on the men's side was Cody Custard and someone named Emerson Keith. And Emerson won, I can't remember what day he won, but he won $600. Not bad, beat a pretty big field. And so I clicked on his name. He played nearly 30 tournaments last year. Played some advanced tournaments and then jumped up into open, but he's already played like 10 or 15 events this year. I don't even know how it's possible. But if you click on his name, you'll see recent events, and it's a list longer than events. I haven't even played that many events in 2 years, and he's played that much in the last month and a half.
Safe to say he doesn't have probably have a 1.5-year-old? Would that be a safe bet?
Or if he does,
probably.
He has a way more understanding wife than we do.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, Emerson Keith. So I don't know if maybe that's another person to keep on the radar. We'll see if it's just a Texas thing or if he branches out, or maybe we'll check him out at some of these not B tiers, it's Disc Golf Pro Tour events in Texas. Maybe that'll be a name to pop up as well. Yeah, there's a few other tournaments around. I think EMAC stuck around and played in Orlando. Mike Barnett ran an event there. Johnny McRae won. EMAC finished in 2nd place. Maybe Charlie Goodpasture finishing in 3rd. But on the women's side there, Madison Walker got 2nd place to Hannah Leatherman. They had a really tight battle, but Hannah ended up holding her off. So, yeah, can't forget about Hannah. She's our U.S. Champ from 2 years ago.
She's she's a quiet person in general, but she hasn't been on the tour for really kind of like a year and a half with some of the missionary work I know they've been doing. But whenever she shows up, she shoots really solid golf, anywhere between 940 and 930 rated golf usually, and that's almost always good enough to win a local event. So she's almost always top 5 in the big events. Yeah, she's I think she had some injuries last year, and judging by her social media, she's been working to get healthier this winter and doing some preventative stuff. So it'd be great for on the men's and women's side just to see a healthy 2017 campaign from everybody, but especially our superstars of the game. Macbeth was plagued last year with some injuries. Of course, Simon went down mid-season. So speaking of that, I know we're a few weeks away, but I'm really hyped up for the Gentlemen's Club Classic. There's so many different things to look at, and one thing is the torch officially being passed, or I don't know, taken away from the Memorial to the Gentlemen's Club Classic as being the official tour opener. So
the official national tour opener.
Yeah, and it's always, the Memorial has always kind of been, I know Gentlemen's Club's always been the week before, but it was always, either that or the Memorials being the official opener of the year. But yes, so it's the first NT of the season, and a lot of things to look forward to. Like on the women's side, Jessica Weiss, speaking of injuries, I think she's hopefully back and healthy and in form, competing. Something else to look at, Val. What is Val's bag going to look like? As she said on SmashBoxx numerous times, it's going to be a grip bag, but what discs are going to be in there?
I don't think there's going to be any discs in her bag at the GCC.
Oh, will she? Let's.
Not playing.
Ooh.
I don't believe she's playing the GCC. I think they're waiting for the Memorial. They're going to be doing the
Oh.
whole brewing for like the week or 2 weeks prior to that in Arizona. And Val and Nate, I believe, are skipping the Gentlemen's Club.
Well, geez. Nonetheless, I'm interested to see at the Memorial.
Me too.
What discs are in Valerie's bag?
Am I the only one that's, and I don't know why, and maybe I shouldn't say it out loud. It's hard to get pumped for Gentlemen's Club this year because in the past it's never been an NT. Like you always get really excited for Memorial, and I think it's going to take me a year or two, hopefully, if the Gentlemen's Club continues to be an NT, to get that feeling back for the Gentlemen's Club like you used to get for the Memorial, because this was always kind of the warm-up event. It always was, hey, half the guys are going to go play it, the other half are just going to hang out in Arizona, this and that. And now this year I mean, everybody's going to be the Gentlemen's Club, so I feel like I should be really excited for it, and we're covering it, so maybe I should even be more excited for it, but I think it's going to take like the day or two before it really hits me that this is really the day. This is when it's coming.
Well, how convenient that we're going to have last year's Gentlemen's Club champion, Philo Brathwaite, join us here on the show tonight, as if that were planned by me. But I agree that we've seen this transition as long as I've known the Memorial, which 2005 was the first time that I went to it. And saw some of the PDGA meetings that took place in terms of the Spring Summit beforehand. It's been this institution, and then it continued to grow and expand into what it is now, which is this massive week with with this huge capacity because of the 3 courses. They were the first to do, some of the first in the country to do the player pack only for the AMs, and then they were moving it up, so it was no longer ending on Sunday, which was crazy. It was ending on Saturday, and then they, are starting as early as Wednesday, and now amateurs are playing Wednesday through Friday, which is completely unheard of for any other major tournament, that those are the only 3 days that they're playing, with a big
Memorial's
finale.
been doing that for the AMs.
That's what I mean. I'm sorry. I'm talking about the Memorial for all these reasons. So we've seen all of these things, and then and my point was, as the Memorial expanded, it kind of just consumes that entire week, which is why we've seen so many players back off the GCC. And you always did GCC and then you did Memorial. But as the Memorial expanded and had more and more significance and really pulled people in more, people sacrificed a little bit of the GCC weekend. And now you can't. You're talking about a 4-day national tour event, and then leaving Sunday night, as we plan to do, leave Sunday night, and by Wednesday you're teeing again. And that's a pretty big pull. And people are, yes, it's early in the season, which is why I think it will be a little bit more palatable, but that's actually a pretty significant, to play then another 4-day event. That's a pretty significant way to go about it. So
and think about like the trap. It gives on the pro side, I'm thinking it gives a lot of those guys that the touring players more of an advantage that have an opportunity to get down ahead of time, because that's a really short turnaround to try to go in 3 courses at the Memorial. It always used to be 2. I think that was one of the things where you saw a lot of pros drop off, is when the Memorial went from 2 to 3 courses. Historically, it always been Vista and Fountain, and when we picked up
Fiesta
a few years ago, it just became too much for a lot of the players just to play Vegas and then turn around and zip over and try to even get a practice round on all 3 courses, because there's hundreds and hundreds of golfers playing. It's hot out, and you don't want to early in the season burn out too quickly. A lot of people coming out from the snow states, not getting a whole lot of reps in. So yeah, this is an early season test and stamina for the players, and I think that some of the ones that have been out playing are going to have a leg up, or some that are coming from the warmer states. Maybe some of those guys and girls that went over to Australia, hit up the Aussie, and then some of those Asian events, or I guess Asia. That's not where New Zealand is in Asia, is it?
Well,
but anyways,
so do you know off the top of your head, and I was just about to look it up, excuse me for not knowing, is the Gentlemen's Club, there's 3 courses there. Are they only playing 2 of them, or are they playing all 3? Do you know? Okay. Well, either way, so whether they're playing 6 courses over 8 rounds or 5 courses over 8 rounds. That's what they're looking at in the next few weeks. So, yeah, that's a little bit more, we'll say, stress and pressure. And we're seeing a few of the pros that are coming through town are saying, okay, well, I'm going to go practice this one now because I'm already here. And I think we're going to see a number of players do that, especially over this weekend, say, well, I'm going to go play in this spot, then I don't have to practice them later. And so they're kind of just judging where they're going to be and what they're doing. So
Marty's saying MPO and FPO only play 1 course.
Oh, wow.
That's
okay.
That's pretty standard for NTs these days, DG guy.
Yeah.
Interesting, except for... I'm going to go into it. Okay, so, well, that's good. That's great that they're going to only be challenged on with playing 1 particular course. So to recap on everyone, too, Central Coast is going to be working with Spin TV in that collaboration. Going to be bringing you 4 rounds of coverage. And on the final 2 rounds on Saturday and Sunday of the Gentlemen's Club, Smashbox will also, in addition to the recorded coverage, of course, will be bringing you the final 2 rounds of live coverage out there at the Wild Horse Golf Course. Is there enough information on that sheet you're looking at in that particular font, Johnny? Johnny, you want to share this sheet in case anybody wanted to look? Johnny can quickly share this sheet with the world for those that are viewing. Here's some information for you if you wanted to.
That is, I'll say they could have picked a slightly better font for clarity.
Sure.
It is, it's packed.
That's a draft. That's a draft.
It's chock full of information, that's for sure. It's just a little difficult to read because of the script, so to speak. But I'm trying to dig in.
Okay.
Someone on the board is saying that MPO plays all the courses.
See, that's what
I had thought as well.
And I thought it was either all 3 or 2 of 3. I'm shocked that it's just 1. I'm going to call Marty Gregoire, our PDGA social media manager. I'm going to call him out.
I heard Marty's the acting executive director right now.
He should be. I mean, I don't know why anyone else. Yeah, why?
Speaking of, any news on that?
I don't know. That's a good question. I was just going to ask the same thing to you if you knew anything.
On Thursday at 7:04, the MPO play the Disc Golf Values course.
Okay. On Friday.
On Friday at at 7 a.m., the MPO plays the Innova course.
Okay.
On Saturday, there it is, at 7:02, they play the Adidas course.
Okay.
And then on Sunday, they play the Innova course again at 7 a.m.
Okay, so Media Marty dead wrong. Right after Paige is the first. No, just kidding. No, they are playing 3 courses as we. Okay, so Media Marty on the board has said that. Yes, don't be shocked. I said I was wrong. So there you go. And another quick update. Media Marty on the board says executive director search is down to 4 people. They will be interviewed in person in
live
Las
on
Vegas.
Smashbox.
Yes, that would be awesome.
I mean, really, if you're the executive director, you're going to have to deal with us at some point. You might as well get it out of the way. Just come on the show, all 4 of you. Maybe at once.
Battle box.
Yeah.
Battle box.
Battle box
to
for the
see who
director.
wins it. All right. So Marty says 4. It could be 24 people. It's down to
He
could
doesn't
be
know.
14. But yeah, so there it is.
Yeah.
All right, Dana. Now that we got our jabs in there where we could, do you have anything else? Any questions you want us to relay, or things you'd like to hear from Philo, and we bring him in just a few moments?
Oh man, yeah, I want to hear. Is there? No, I don't. No, I'm just kidding. I'm excited to hear about his travel, his early season travels, and then just hear him talk about how the Albatross changed his life. Because I mean, it's been so big for disc golf, and you got to think about how that's affected Philo. And he was a very well-known name in disc golf, obviously, but now he's a household name in disc golf, and he's people that don't play disc golf have maybe seen him. They might not know his name, but they saw this amazing shot he threw. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that and seeing what all he's got in store for this year. If he's going to be spending some time on the World Tour, the the whole pro tour. He's going to be in the dude, riding around with the dude. Yeah, I'm excited to, and I'm sure these Smashies are ready to get me out of here.
And I'm going to ask him the same thing, and maybe you have an insight. Do you think he's at all sick of the connection? As in, like, there's some of our top players that, really get honed in. I've heard Greg Barsby talk about, he almost pushes aside his Climo impersonations. Of course, he'll engage people and he'll go along with it sometimes, but sometimes he's almost like, okay, that's, even I don't even want to go there. Do you think it'll ever get old for Philo being?
We can ask him.
I was going to ask Dana. That's what I'm saying. I'll ask him, but what do you think, Dana?
No, I think it's something that he's just got to embrace and take head on. It's because it's big. It's just it was so big, but and amazing. Like, that shot is just still, again, so hard. I've talked about it numerous times on here. It's just an incredible shot, and I think he should take all the love that he gets from everybody and all the attention and action, and hopefully all that's turning into something good for him.
All right, Dana. Well, before we let you go, the last thing I'm going to bring up with you, I would love a little input, and we'll get over to Philo, is we saw the announcement from the Next Generation Tour where they're doing what they're calling the dance, and I'd like to go ahead and see exactly how that was worded. But essentially, it's like a side bet so that players can enter in to your typical or respective division, and then at the end of the season, everybody gets ranked, and then there's going to be a payout. So you go and you play advanced, for instance, to compete in this Next Generation Tour to try and win the car and all this these accolades. But let's say you're a 49-year-old player. You can actually get into some side action and be playing that throughout the year as well. Do you think that could help with some participation and with some involvement so people can still be competitive, say, amongst your own age group or your own typical player division and group? Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. That just gives players one less excuse to not go out and play one of the events if they're able to hop in and get that side action. Smaller scale, much smaller scale. I ran an event a few years back where it was open division only, and I did sliding scale entries, but I also had a side bet. So I had like an intermediate. If you were an intermediate player, there was a side bet, advanced, etc. We had like a 50, 60 person pro field, but also, they were competing within their own division as well. And I think that a lot of the players did enjoy that. And I guess the key is just going to be getting the word out and educating on the rules of it and everything, because it can get a little confusing. But yeah, I think it sounds pretty cool.
Okay, well, we'll talk about it later on the show. I just wanted to throw it out there. It's called The Dance. If you go to nextgendiscgolf.com/dance, it's the Divisional Amateur National Challenge, a.k.a. The Dance, and it breaks down all the rules, talks about the details and such, but I wanted to get your input. Like you said, I knew you had run something in a similar sense, and this is something that can happen all year long for the Next Gen Tour that we've been talking about quite a bit, so we wanted to get it out there. Well, Dana, we appreciate your insights and your homework, as always, and of course, we know we're going to miss you not seeing you out in those warmer weather climates, but thanks for holding the fort down here and bringing us all the valuable info.
Yeah, I'll be tuned in if I can, and maybe providing some help on the back end if needed for you guys. Maybe sending you some messages about different things, or maybe I'll live tweet it. I don't know, but I'm looking forward to the season starting, and I can't be there. You guys, Smashbox is going to be there.
We'll bring you there.
Yep.
Not really, but via your computer.
Right to your living room, on your couch. All right, Dynamite. Have a great night.
Hey, Beard will be back next week.
Yeah. All right.
I hope he meant that literally. All right, so Dana giving us some details of the events going on around the country, and as he quickly referenced, I'll bring up, I had myself competed in an ice bowl, essentially, is what it is, this last weekend. It was the 30th annual taking place in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and it was a pleasure to play in my 23rd consecutive one, but I got to play with my good pal Mike Schwieger in our 15th, and solid time. Sold out both days, so even here in Wisconsin.
And you cashed.
And we cashed, but
So you can't argue
blessed
that
with good weather. So
in the MPO field. So.
there it was. All right. Well, a man who, as Dana mentioned, has been seen more than anywhere else by any of our disc golf community, our top players, our media, it doesn't matter. This guy's been seen in more homes and on more screens than all of us combined. We're going to welcome Philo Brathwaite to Smashbox. Hey, Philo.
What's going on, fellas?
Not too much.
Are we taking you away from any hot Valentine's dates tonight, or is it just us?
Nope. We're having a threesome.
All right.
I was just going to say, I feel so sorry for you if this is
if we're your Valentines
if
tonight.
this is the
but
best you could wrangle up. I don't know. So,
well, life of a superstar. Sometimes you got to do it alone.
I'm
right.
sure. So we'll lead right with that question. We asked Dana before as we let him go, but do you feel like it will ever get old to you for the experience that you've had? Thanks to Central Coast and the Beaver State Fling, and then your arm and Innova Disc. But will that experience ever get old of that Albatross?
I kind of hope not. I'll be honest. Obviously, my 10-year career leading up to the Albatross, there's a lot of high points and things to be proud of. But, obviously, that's kind of a big moment that's hard to duplicate or, it's definitely special. And it's nice to be reminded of it. And, new people, friends from years, whoever coming up and wanting to congratulate me or say, so many of my friends sent me that video and now they understand why I love disc golf so much or whatever, just being that face or the person who's, like you just mentioned, got to be in so many different homes across the world and maybe be a catalyst in a way for a new generation of disc golfers,
Well, it can certainly always get referenced, which is awesome to see. And people, all these months later can see it, and all of a sudden they'll be like, "Hey, I saw you." Now, unlike Barsby, for instance, who always is encouraged to do like a Climo impersonation, people can't just yell at you, "Hey, go do that Albatross thing again."
Go Albatross for me.
Yeah.
Have you thought at all about what it's going to be like playing that hole again? Are you just going to be happy with just a straight old boring 4, perhaps? Birdie 4 or something when you play that hole next time?
I don't really have any expectations to Albatross that hole again.
Okay.
I really don't. If I could make a 3 on it the rest of my life, I'd be a happy guy, but
yeah.
That's hard enough. Making 4 is a great score, so I'm not going to complain with a 4. I've made 4 and 5 on that hole more than I've made any other score, so I'll be happy with 4s.
Okay. So we were just also talking about our players that have got some early season play in, and you're one of them. Give everyone a little recap where you've been and the successes you've had this year.
Yeah, so a friend of mine down in Florida, actually a new friend, I was clearing out my friend box on Facebook and hit this dude named Jake, and next thing you know, Jake and I are having a little discussion back and forth, and next thing you know, I'm on my way to Florida to play a tournament that his buddy's putting on, and, I was well received. I got to do a clinic and won their event, the Mark Parkham. Just it was the same weekend that shooting happened in the airport, so that was kind of a crazy weekend. But yeah, it was a nice experience. I had a good time, great courses down there. Everybody's very friendly and hospitable, and I had a good time down there. And then did the international thing, first time ever going to Asia. Got to go check out Thailand, and we had obviously the major down in Australia. And all 3 events that I played in, I felt like I played really good golf. I snuck away with a win at the first Thailand tournament, the Heiser Brownie Open. Nico and Wysocki were kind of running away with it going into the final 9, and next thing you know, like things happen in tournaments when things get close. The 2 guys that are battling it out kind of lose track of the guy who's just kind of hanging around. And that time I happened to be that guy, come into the last hole, the final 9, we're all tied, and I make the shot happen, and those 2 guys don't, and I get the win. So it's kind of a blessing in disguise. It kind of just fell in my lap. Nico really should have won that tournament, but he kind of coughed up a few strokes on the 8th hole and let me in the door. And, when those opportunities arrive, you kind of have to seize the moment and not feel bad for the other guy, even though you kind of do. But at the end of the day,
They'll both get plenty more wins this year. Don't feel bad for
sure they
them.
will. And for me, those victories are hard to come by against guys like Nico and Wysocki, so I'll take them when
Yeah.
I get them.
Yeah, I was gonna say I wouldn't feel too bad right now.
No.
No. In the moment you kind of reflect and go, yeah, I mean, I really had no business winning that tournament, but I did. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I won. It is what it is. But
you had to be there. You were creeping right on that lead card, and you had to be there, and you got to strike at the right moment. And
yeah, sometimes it goes that way.
And somebody's got to win. Might as well be you.
Somebody's got to win, and I'm okay with being that guy.
That's right.
So speaking of winning, last year, everybody again, you've been around for a long time. Last year, you started out exceptionally hot, and then that included a win at Gentlemen's Club. And we were just having a debate about how many courses and all of that stuff. What are you planning for as you hope to go out and protect that title that you earned last year?
Man,
and what should we expect?
I got a big bullseye on my back, you know what I mean? Like that's kind of a given. Everybody wants to win. It's the first NT of the year. We're going to have a full house when it comes to the competition. Last year there was obviously no Macbeth, and a couple of the other guys weren't there, but I had to play, Simon. That was big enough for me to take down Simon because he's such a tremendous talent, and outthrows everybody by a mile. And on a course like that, that's so long and fairly wide open, I kind of expected him to run away with it. And I was in a good rhythm going into that tournament. That's really all I ever look for, is to be in a good rhythm, to be in good headspace, and to feel like I'm under control of my shots, because at the end of the day, that's all I have are my shots. It doesn't matter how far the other guy throws versus how far I throw. It matters if I can put my disc where I want it on the fairway and then make it in the basket when I'm on the putting green. And that tournament, I putted really well the whole way through. I didn't really have too many low points or low moments in the tournament where I just completely lost my rhythm and lost my way. I might have had a few holes that weren't the best and a couple throws that weren't great, but I just stuck to the game plan. I really didn't have much of a game plan because I didn't practice. I just showed up and played blind.
Well,
And
there's that.
Sometimes that takes the pressure off.
That takes a little pressure off, because without that previous, experience, I parked this hole before, then you just kind of show up and organically create the shot that's necessary. And I tend to play well that way. When I just see the shot and say, okay, this is the disc that works for this type of shot this far, and I just put the pieces together like a puzzle. In that tournament, it was very much so like putting the pieces of a puzzle together, and at the end, you had a masterpiece of a victory. So that's kind of what it felt like. And this year, I'm just going to try to do the same thing. Now, obviously, having that previous experience and winning the tournament and pretty much knowing the layout of the land and all that, I don't know. I don't really put too many expectations on myself, because then if I don't, meet that expectation, then I'm going to feel bad at the end of the day. And I don't want to feel bad. I want to be proud of myself for putting the best effort forth that I can every week. And win, lose, or draw, as long as I'm doing that, I'm cool.
Now, you said that the course is relatively long and open. Do they constrict you guys at all? Because we haven't seen it yet, but do they constrict you with some OB, and does that come into play too much?
Not too much. There were a few holes where there was some OB where you had to, pinpoint your drive. You couldn't just go at it full blast, and there were no, repercussions for it. But for the most part, a lot of the courses are pretty open and fair, and you don't have too much OB to deal with. And if there is OB, it's right there in front of you. You can see it. It's not too hidden. So I think it was a good course for a player like myself, who's a control player that doesn't overthrow things typically, that just kind of lands the disc in the realm and makes putts. That worked well for me. Maybe some guys that have a little bit more power get a little aggressive and have longer putts or something like that. But I don't know. I think it's really a shot maker's course. Obviously having some distance can make things a lot easier for you. But you don't necessarily have to have a huge arm to score well.
And that was going to be my next question, is do you feel like any of the courses tailor to any particular style of golf? And you kind of just answered that entire question there. So the tours, you've obviously already partaken in a World Tour event. The National Tour is kicking off, the Pro Tour. Can we just assume we're going to see plenty of Philo at all of the tours as much as possible?
Nope. Did we?
Oh, maybe he's quitting the
Oh yeah,
SmashBoxx store.
that's me. I'm touring professional these days. Last year was my first crack at it. Reception was kind of shaky. Can
Hold
you
on
hear
a
me?
second. Yeah, hold on 1 second. We're going to kill the video toward you, so you're just not going to see us, which is fine.
Yep.
But we can still see you, so we'll see if we can. No one heard you reply once I asked if we were going to see you on all the tours, so if you want to start there again.
Hey,
Hey, you're back.
Okay,
All
we
right, go
gotcha.
ahead.
I gotta walk through the house to find reception. You know what I mean? It's a bad neighborhood up here. We're up on the top of the canyon, and it's
Oh,
not
sure.
the best reception.
So you're going to be on tour next year, and from what I heard from another podcast, you're actually touring with one of the Final Round Radio guys. Is that correct?
Yeah, Kevin Burgess, he hit me up just before the years scrolled over and said, "Yeah, I think I'm gonna go see the country next year. I've never had the opportunity," and it just kind of the opportunity presented itself, and he decided to go out and buy an RV and get it wrapped up and hit the road, and offered me to be the guy riding with him. Couldn't turn it down. I mean, saved so much money on hotels and fuel and plane tickets and hotels and all the rest. I mean, it's just like a no-brainer.
Yeah, and that goes to, I'll say, your strategy. We've never really seen you full-time every weekend on the tour. I mean, it seems like you fly in and out and you attend stretches, but now it seems like you're in it for the long haul this year.
Well, after I got off to that good start in Vegas last year, and it really boils down to the money at the end of the day. It sucks to say it that way, but it's kind of true, and that's probably the story for a lot of guys who've come and gone off the tour over the years, and countless number of guys that had tremendous skill and abilities, but at the end of the day, if the dollars don't add up, it doesn't make sense. And that's kind of what it was like for me for a while, where I had to work to make money to pay my bills and then to be able to buy plane tickets to go play disc golf, you know what I mean? So that was most of my 10 years of my career were working 35, 40 hours a week, picking and choosing the events I was going to play, and then just going back and forth, just trying to make it happen, staying on the scene, being relevant. And it was really hard to stay in rhythm, to stay competitive with guys when you're kind of bouncing in and bouncing out. And then last year I got off to that good start at GCC, and it put enough cash in my pocket where I could just roll and ride it out for a few months and see what would happen. And then I just kept repeating the effort, playing well. I did well at the Memorial. That put another nice chunk of cash in my pocket. And as long as I could keep the wheels moving, I was willing to stay on the road and take the chance of, being broke or whatever it took to be out there. I just super passionate and very driven and focused on making this my life. And I was willing to do whatever it took to make sure that it happened. And thankfully the last 6 months or 8 months, or really leading up to this time last year, it's really been the story of my career. I mean, this is all that hard work is really starting to pay off.
Well, we can see, obviously, when you're on tour, it appears, based on your results, that you're a better player. I mean, you would mention those other ones, but on top of that, you took second at Beaver State Fling.
Yeah,
that
was huge. I mean, that's another course that I'm sorry. I know this lights. I'm trying to.
That's
get
okay.
This crap. Yeah, that was a big tournament for me. Not just that the Albatross happened, but obviously playing well for 4 rounds of golf.
Well, I think
sticking around.
Sorry, I think we lost you for a second there, Philo.
With Wysock times. Yeah. Did you lose me?
All right.
just for you
I'm gonna go back.
Yep,
Yeah.
you broke up just a little bit.
You were saying that you played really well overall for 4 rounds of golf, and you hung with all those guys, those other top guys out at the Beaver State event. And like you said, it was a huge weekend for you.
It was a huge weekend for me, and it felt really nice to hang with those guys. And it gave me a boost of confidence that even though I am getting older and I'm getting wiser with my game and my skill level, you know what I mean? It's really coming around. So, yeah, it's really nice, man. It's hard to really sum it up in a very short phrase, but, I guess the fruit of the labor is really starting to pay off, and sticking with it and, not letting those defeats hold me back from pushing on,
Well, you have been again touring for quite some time. Just yesterday, you officially marked another tour around the globe, celebrating a birthday yesterday. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Happy birthday!
37 now.
37. And For those who aren't familiar with some of your past play, when was it that you really dedicated yourself to playing golf as a professional?
Well, 2006 was my first year on the scene. Pretty much around that time, I was convinced that this is what I would do with my life. I just wasn't sure if financially I would be able to hack it, or if I would ever become a good enough player to sustain myself. Because even as far as 10 years ago, I was kind of making as much money as now, like in a season, and it took twice as many events and to make that kind of wedge, even with sponsorship and bonuses and everything. And now with, obviously the last 10 years have gone by and there's more money to be made. There's bigger events that are sponsored. The whole packages are starting to come together for disc golf for professionals. I was really able to just kind of stick it out and grind it out, seeing that things were getting better every year, and just had to figure out a way to get good enough to be on that level, and it's just really hard to just say anybody can do it. I don't think you have to be the right kind of person to really stick this kind of a grind out. Not everybody can put a lot of things on the back burner when it comes to your life. And you mentioned about not having a Valentine's today, and that's one of the things I've been really holding off intentionally in a way in life, is not getting bogged down with a family and not being able to pursue this 100% and seeing it all the way through. So 10, 15 years from now, I don't look back and go, man, I don't know if I really dated myself to disc golf. Now I know I'm making the right years or so thing financially around for me, and I'll continue to be able to save more money and earn better sponsorships and stuff like that, and then I can start focusing on the other aspect of life and finding that significant other and maybe having my own family one day.
Yeah, and you seem to be just a little bit garbled. I don't know. You were in a really good spot a few moments ago. I don't know if where you're.
I don't think it matters. It appears that just in general where he's
all right.
A couple different places.
We can make out what you were saying. You were talking about essentially you've had to sacrifice, family life and starting a family and probably significant others and consistent girlfriends or whatever in relationships because of your life on tour. And those are all things that, we see that our most dedicated disc golfers, if you look at most of them that are on tour, there's a few exceptions, but most of them are in fact single and or don't have kids. Because it's just that's not part of the reality for them. Or either that, or you're just gonna have to find a significant other that's in the sport and make that happen.
Kevin Burgess, there you go.
Hey-o.
Anything's possible. But
hey,
not with Burgess, but I'm talking about as far as starting a family and all that. I mean, the whole thing is that I want to be responsible, and I want to be able to support my family, or at least, do my share. And on a disc golfer's salary at the moment, it doesn't seem very realistic. So I'm just trying to get myself sorted out and situated. And once we get that all dialed in, then I can start thinking about the next phase.
I think it was DJ Quick that once said if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. So
correct.
I have to go along with that. So you've had a lot of support. We saw you last year touring around a little bit with Dude, and we saw you. Obviously, you've been a long-time Innova player, and now we know Innova has some new connections with Adidas and Adidas Outdoors and all of that tie-in. Talk a little bit about some of your support networks and some of the people and some of the things you do, such as your clinics. Elaborate on some of that stuff.
All right. So, pretty much when I turned pro, Innova was a lot responsible for that. It was actually in Vegas, 2006, and Sam Farrens walked up to me, and I think I was a third of the way through one of my rounds, and he said, "We've been hearing a lot of good things about you, and we'd like to offer you some sponsorship." And back then I was getting 50 discs per year and some T-shirts and a, Innova jersey or something like that. And didn't really think much of it, but I knew my foot was in the door and I was heading in the right direction, and Sam Farrens has been a big part of, my sponsorship, and we've had a close relationship over my whole career, and he's always looked out for me in, more than one ways. I mean, the whole Barbados thing, he was a catalyst in really trying to help us get all of the equipment that we needed down there and make sure that it didn't cost us an arm and a leg. And, he did the best that he could for us. And it was a really hard situation to not be able to leave disc golf 100% set up in disc golf. But anyway, besides that, Innova's been a huge, supporter for me. And it's so awesome to be on the star team now and to be able to get a tour support disc, which will help with the financial end of being a professional disc golfer. And hopefully all the fans out there will support and grab one of those up when they hit the internet, hopefully in the coming weeks. But yeah, that whole thing with Adidas is such a blessing. Chris Brophy, that guy is a magician. I tell you. I mean, that guy can charm anybody, and I'm so thankful. I've known Brophy longer than I've been playing as a professional, and he actually got me the job that kept me playing disc golf for 10 years and still being able to go back and forth. So, man, Brophy's the man. But yeah, he's the guy that Innova was sending to the trade shows, and they had a booth set up next to the Adidas, tent, and he goes over there and sweet talks, Diane Key into being our shoe representative and got Macbeth the deal that he got the previous year. So he was like, yeah, if things go well, you never know, like we might be able to bring some more players in for the next season. So just keep doing what you're doing. And sure enough, the calendar rolled over. I got a contract in the email, and now I'm a part of the grassroots team with Adidas, which is awesome because such a huge savings to not have to buy, $130, $140 pair of shoes 4 or 5 times a season, and all the other little bits and pieces, all the Under Armour, or not Under Armour, but under gear, the base layers, and, the shirts and the hats and whatever else they offer us, socks. I mean, you could spend hundreds of dollars a year on socks, and shoes alone. So any support is a big support, especially at this stage of our sport where we're still growing. We still have a long ways to go, but something like Adidas is a huge lift for the sport. I mean, that's some real worldwide recognition, a name that everybody across the world knows is Adidas. So I think that's a big step for us going forward, especially that they really hopped on board for the GCC. I've already heard rumors of them spending more than 20 grand just to get their foot in the door. So, it's big step for us going forward is the Adidas thing.
Pun intended, foot in the door. Yeah, and that's what exactly you hit on. I think one of the key elements here is the fact that we're finally talking about outside sponsors, not just, Innova and Discraft and DD and all of the amazing companies that we've had within our sport that continue to help our sport grow every single year, but to have these outside companies take note and to partner up and to have teams that you're on, that you're on, and just it's great to see, and it's been kind of I think it's been very fitting that we've seen people like Adidas and we've seen people like Keen and footwear companies. Obviously, everybody out there is wearing shoes, but like you said, it's easy to go through shoes, whether it's from constant play or just the conditions. When you're playing in a couple wet rounds in a day or rain and everything else.
Yeah. I just got a new pair of shoes that I ordered from Adidas, and I took them to Thailand, and we had to play 2 or 3 rounds where it had just rained and the ground was completely muddy. And I mean, I cleaned them and cleaned them and cleaned them. It still looks like they sat in the mud for 2 days, and it's like you really don't want to. I mean, they're still good functioning pair of shoes, but they don't look great, and looking good and feeling good kind of go together.
Those can be your practice. Those are now practice round shoes,
They're now practice, or maybe I'll just donate them to somebody.
There you go.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, but yeah, it's such a blessing to have a shoe sponsor, I mean, who would have thought 10 years ago we'd get Adidas as a sponsor? I mean, that was obviously the hope and the dream was for this to happen, but it's really funny that so many things that we all hoped and dreamed about are actually coming to be a reality, like being on ESPN and Nate Doss starting that trend and then Paul Macbeth starting the trend with Adidas. Like who knows what's next, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah, and what do you think? What do you think might be next in terms of? I know you just said they're endless, but do you feel like, okay, so we've achieved this level. The next level or item that I think we really need is this. Is there any one particular thing that will help, make us a little bit more legitimate?
Obviously, I mean, the big goal is to be on TV, and not just highlights and, memorable moments, but for the mass majority of people to be able to tune into ESPN late at night and see coverage of a tournament or the Memorial or Las Vegas or whatever, you know what I mean? And even if it's a few weeks later, I mean, it's better than watching ping pong or, you know,
Yeah.
for me, watching poker. I mean, we all know how to play poker. I mean, it's not very compelling. People are poker fans and they love it, but that's the thing. I see like we could.
Sorry, Philo. I think you were doing everything was going super great as you were that just proves poker doesn't need any exposure.
That's true.
Is maybe what I think you were saying. I think we lost you as you were talking about seeing poker on ESPN. All right, we're not hearing you, Philo. Sorry. We see. Okay, it looks like you're on the move a little bit. Maybe if now that you're relocated. And are you there for us, Philo? No, I know. I can see you in the distance, but we're not hearing anything.
I was gonna say, Philo, if you want, you can kill your video. If you just want, we can just do it via audio. That might help out the signal.
If you want to,
it might not.
All right, Philo. Johnny Bigfoot's on the board asking how old is Philo. I think he just said he turned 37.
Just turned 37
as of yesterday, February 13th. So,
and today we have another disc golf birthday.
I just told him we'd give him a shout out. That's EMAC Eric McCabe has a birthday today. So
happy birthday, EMAC.
Philo, are you there with us, buddy? Sounds like you can hear us, but we can't hear you.
Yeah, we're not getting any audio from Philo.
If you hang up your call and then call us right back, we'll try it one more time on Skype. And if that doesn't work, then we'll go another route here. So we can see if we can get you all dialed in here.
Yeah. Sometimes Skype just requires a kick.
a kick by an Adidas sponsor.
Yeah.
Maybe something to get it back going. So thank you guys for tuning in here as we're talking with Philo Brathwaite. We're just a week away from seeing if he can repeat as champion at the Gentlemen's Club Classic, Gentlemen's Club Challenge. Sorry, I don't believe I just called it the Classic again.
I know.
I think I did that a few weeks ago. That's what I get. It's an event I don't cover typically, so I got to get in the swing of it.
I get it.
All right. Doesn't sound like we're going to have any good luck. Greg Barsby's birthday tomorrow as well, isn't it? It very well could be. That I'm not privy to. That'd be interesting, as I know he travels quite a bit with Philo.
Hey, Philo.
We're going to see if we can
I'm in
get
my
you...
office, my car.
All right, so we're back with Philo. Welcome back.
All right, sorry about that.
No, that's all right.
It's all good.
It happens.
So you were just saying, and we'll wrap that up, is that you were saying that watching poker on ESPN isn't necessarily as compelling unless maybe you're a diehard poker fan, and I think I can agree with that. We'll see if maybe there's a mainstream inlet that we have with disc golf and seeing it more frequently on TV or some other dedicated sports channel that people can tune into more regularly.
You know, also I think that would be really a great idea is I know we have things like the Edge program, and I think our outreach could be a little bit better other than just worrying about getting on TV. You know, like you were talking about, you know, me doing clinics and lessons and stuff like that. And honestly, I don't really seek a lot of those things out. I just put it out there that I'm willing to do it, and then people contact me, and then I just go. You know, I don't really call people and say, hey, do you want me to come and do a clinic? This is how much I charge. I just throw it out there, you know, and if people want to learn, then they call me. If they don't want to learn, that's fine, you know, and I'm not going to put the pressure cooker on anybody ever when it comes to stuff like that.
And there's been a number of people on the board that have said they've attended clinics or demonstrations that you've done, and it's no secret that you're certainly revered as one of our premier trainers and one of our premier people out there doing those things. How much does that help your own game? Some people say that when you're teaching, you're kind of learning twice. How much does that help your own game when you're instructing others?
I love learning. I find holes in my own game from teaching every now and again, and reminds myself of things that I could work on to get better myself. I've always focused on doing things the correct fundamental way, no matter what sport I'm playing. And with disc golf, I mean, there's always room to grow, just like in any other sport. There's always room to learn, always room to get better. And yeah, teaching somebody else is just a reminder to myself of what I'm supposed to be doing. And when I'm not throwing the way that I know I can, all I have to do is go back to the fundamentals. You know, it's not a very complicated process anymore. Not for me. I mean, it was a complicated process to get to this point and get to the point where I could explain clearly the ideas and the concepts of playing disc golf to somebody else, you know, but there's never, you know, a bad time to learn. There's never a bad time to take a reality check and say, you know, I could do something different, or there's something that I could fix, something I could focus on and get better, you know. And that's all I try to give to people, is that, you know, that maybe inspiration that it is possible, you know, like it's not impossible to figure this game out. And when you have somebody that can really explain it to you, it makes it so much easier.
Do you feel like,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, do you feel like you've undergone any significant changes in your stroke or your routine, or you know, how you've approached the game? Has there been anything really significant that we've seen or maybe didn't see, or that was somewhat subtle over the last couple of years? Or do you feel like you've really been dialed in?
You guys might laugh about this, but I feel like I'm playing faster.
Oh, nah.
Someone on the board had asked if we were going to address the your general speed of play, and I don't know if we've ever actually talked with you in person about it, but yeah, you're saying that you're now, do you find that it's because of repetition that you're just you're able to walk up and just, it's more natural?
Confidence, yeah, that has a lot to do with it. But also I kind of realize the longer I sit around and contemplate on something, the more chances things are probably going to go wrong. And just for me, I know I'm a pretty deliberate player and I like to take my time and do my routine, but there was a certain part of that was like an uncertainty factor behind my throw, that I wasn't 100% sure I was going to do what I wanted. And I mean, granted, that could go no matter if you go, that could happen whether you're a fast player or a slow player. But there was definitely like something in my mind that was giving me like a slight chance of making a mistake because I'm overthinking the process instead of making it a natural reaction to what I see in front of me.
Okay.
And so that's what I've been trying to work on a lot more in the last, you know, maybe 4 months or so, 5 months, is picking up the pace of my play and my decision making. And don't deliberate too long. Take your time, do your routine, but then once you're set, just go and trust in your instincts, you know?
Well, I'll be the first to admit I have certainly taken note of the times where maybe you've used that full 29 and a half or 39 and a half seconds. And it's funny that everyone's routine, whether you're a fast player, because if you're a fast player, you see people like, oh man, that guy plays too fast. He definitely should slow down. And when you're a slower player or more deliberate like yourself, people, you know, will get on you for that. There's certainly no everything you do is going to be under a microscope and analyzed, and that's why we have fans and we have you know, students of the game out here. But to see you, or to hear of you talk about maybe a little bit more confidence or certainty within your play, I'm excited to see how that's going to play out for you, you know, as you're lining up a shot, or, you know, thinking about what you are. And I'll go ahead and insert myself slightly. I'm known as a relatively fast player. I've never been at quite the level you are, but I always felt like, you know, when people say to me, wow, you play so fast, like it's noticeably fast, I'm like, if I don't have it figured out by now, 20 years into playing, like I'm not going to figure it out right here on the tee. So I'm just one that kind of grabs a disc and gets up and throws. But everyone's got their own style.
They do, and to each their own. And I'm not one to really judge somebody on their speed of play. I mean, if they want to play fast and they're playing well, then good for them. I like to at least put a little bit of thought. I mean, the thing is that I'm starting to recognize like what I need to do a lot faster than I did in the past, because I had a lot of things going through my head, you know, a lot of years of catching up to the guys ahead of me, the Bridsters, the Macbeths, the you know, Feldbergs, the Climos, the you name it, the guys that I've been chasing since I started playing this game. And, you know, there's just a lot of things going on in my mind, and I wasn't just thinking about the shot. And now I'm able to kind of slow down and only think about the shot, you know, and actually speed things up and only think about the shot, you know, rather than bog myself down thinking about too many other factors that are going around. What's my score? That guy's looking at a birdie. Sorry. you know, this guy's doing that, that guy's doing this. No, I'm just like, I'm in my own little world. The only thing I can control is my score. You know, go out there and play your best game, and, you know, try not to stand around and stare at things too long and think too hard. You know what to do, just get up there and do it. That doesn't mean rush, but that means just do what you know how to do and do it, you know, like everybody's supposed to do within that 30 seconds. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm going to start a new hashtag, a faster Philo. And
Faster.
we're going to see that.
Hopefully, I'm trying really hard because I don't want to be that guy that everybody's like, God, man, it's 45 seconds later and he's still standing there trying to figure out what he wants to do, you know?
Well,
like, I don't want to be that guy.
No, and fair or not,
no one argues with you if you win.
Well,
like, I mean, people, there's a lot more things that are overlooked when you're winning, as opposed to if you're the guy taking a long time and you're constantly finishing 15th, 20th, 30th, 40th. Things can be overlooked.
Yeah, there's almost that allowance, so to speak.
Yep.
So and again, people almost look to me or to the media sometimes and like, why isn't somebody doing something about that? He just took 39 seconds. It's like, that's not my job. I'm here to report what's going on. I'm not here to get, you know, into the rules or into the group. That has nothing to do with me. But, you know, like I said, we have fans, we have viewers, and people are always wondering what's going on with this, what's going on with that, and timing. And to be fair, Nico is usually part of that conversation as well, as people, our viewers, have put clocks on Nico and have realized that he can exceed the time limit. And I also will go on and say it's one thing when I think it's an occasional situation versus a more frequent situation. And I think that's sometimes what also gets people worked up. So you just mentioned some of the people you've been chasing, and that led me to the question of, you were there for, you know, Climo's era, and as he dominated, and you know, as you said, 2006 or so is when you were getting into the pro scene, and Climo won a world title as 12th in 2006. But who do you look up to others? Do you have a disc golf mentor or idol these days, or are you at the level where you're like, all right, I need to just worry about what I'm doing and focus on my own enhancements? Darn it!
Stumped him.
That was a good gotcha. Good question. All right, so Philo, I'm sorry, you there, buddy?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
You guys still there?
Yeah, we're still here. I don't know if you heard it. Yeah, we got you.
I heard you. I heard you.
So the question just was, is there someone you look up to? Do you have an idol?
Man. Well, I don't know about idolize, but I when I seen, you didn't know it, but he was kind of taking me under his wing, and him and Feldberg both really took me in and gave me some tutelage on the side and some mental adjustments that I needed. I mean, before then, I was chasing Steve Rico and Bobby Music because they were the closest to me here in LA, and it was all about beat Steve Rico, beat Steve Rico, beat Steve Rico, or beat Bobby Music. You know, and
we seem
it
to
took
be
forever to catch those guys.
Well, people are still chasing them.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. So for those who may not have heard, I believe you were saying that it was.
So, I'd say climb up.
Okay. So yeah, we lost you a little bit there, Philo, but I believe you were saying Climo was in fact, Climo and your Feldberg were two of the guys that kind of, helped push you along in your earlier years, and then even before that, more locally, we saw at a local level, you saw Bobby Music and Steve Rico as kind of a couple of the superstars and the guys to chase down. Is that a good summation? All right. No, I don't think he keeps falling asleep. Well, I hope you can hear us, Philo. I think what we're going to do is we're going to cut you loose. I think we're going to be seeing plenty of you in the next couple weeks as well. So on a podcast that we do, maybe an after show or something like that, what we'll do is we'll be able to catch up with you at the Memorial or Gentlemen's Club. I know that we're expecting some solid play out of you. #AFasterPhilo, who we're going to see here in 2017. So thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to catching up with you a little bit more.
Give him a quick shout out for his sponsors, Innova, Keen.
Adidas, probably, actually.
I'm sorry, not Keen. Yeah, Adidas. I was thinking shoes, and yeah, Innova, Adidas, Dude.
Yes.
So those
are all the ones we know for sure. There may or may not be another one after that, but we're gonna stick with those that we know of for sure. So thank you, Philo, for joining us. For the most part, things went really well here with the connections, but sometimes that's just the way Skype works.
Yep.
Boom.
I can frankly say that it's not on our side anymore.
It's not our fault this time.
Not our fault. It used to be I could blame Time Warner, and
yes.
I can't blame them anymore.
As far as we know, Boom is also a sponsor of his, along with Upper Park Bags. Those were the other ones that I hope or assume. I know they've sponsored him in the past, so if they're not in 2017,
well,
he'd like to thank them
He was in the
anyway.
Boom commercial, which I got to see.
So we'll go ahead and say that. So again, thank you to Philo. Thanks for joining us, and sorry we lost you a little bit. So we're going to move on, and as we kind of mentioned quickly, I'd like to say it again, our fellow podcaster and 2010 world champion in EMAC, Eric McCabe. Happy birthday to you, buddy. Hope all is well over there in Emporia. And what else do we got here, Johnny?
We're going to take a couple minutes here real quick, and we're going to take a look at the newest review from the Disc Golf Nerd. It is the Caltrop. So sit down, take a couple seconds, and watch what he's cut together for us.
Down a little bit, giving you that ridge to dig your thumb into, and it gives it a nice feel in the hand. Overall, it's executed very similarly to the Innova Thumb Track Birdie in terms of the actual thumb grip. They're very similar in their execution. The Caltrop feels great in the hand, especially in the Zero Soft plastic. It's available in all the other blends of Zero plastic as well, so whatever your preference is. I love the Zero Soft. It's just got a tremendous grip and flexibility. It maintains a nice feel in the hand even when it gets cold out. I think it's one of the best putter plastic types out in the market. This thing feels great in the hand. I like the thumb grip. It feels nice. It feels good under the meat of your hand, and your thumb lines up nicely. Very flat top, comfortable rounded outer edge to this disc. In flight, this thing is very straight stable. It's not tremendously overstable. I wouldn't say it's as overstable as a Harp or a Cenis. It's somewhere between that and most other putters on the market. What it is very stable to the point where you can throw it about as hard as you want to, throw it nice and flat. You don't have to worry about it flipping over, but it also doesn't really hook up too strong and veer offline. It's actually just a really, really straight disc, all the way straight. You don't have to hyzer flip it. You can rip it nice and flat, or even a gentle hyzer and just get it to hold that all the way there. It doesn't seem to be affected very much by the wind either. It's a very intuitive and controllable disc, even in the wind. It didn't seem to be affected by headwind or tailwind very much at all, and crosswinds as well. So it's a really great disc for those windy approaches or inside the circle on a windy day, or just something that you know what it's going to do every time you throw it. It's going to be very, very straight, hold that line, and inspire confidence in its consistency. That's my review on the Caltrop. I'll talk to you guys next month. All right, cheers. Well, that's it for my segment. Big thank you to Smashbox for having me be a part of the show. If you guys would like to see the full review of this disc, as well as over 100 others, plus disc golf tips and information, my little podcast, and lots of other disc golf related content, just search for Disc Golf Nerd on YouTube or Google. Thanks, guys.
And, of course, thank you again, Disc Golf Nerd, for the insights here on the Caltrop. I couldn't hear it, Johnny. You got to let that audio play for me so I know what's going on. Now I have no idea what this disc is all about. I mean, it says overstable putt and approach.
I like to keep you in the dark.
All right. Well, again, we'd like to thank Philo. Sometimes when it comes to cell signals and everything else, I think some of the big news out there, Johnny, which isn't going to affect us as much as we'd love it to, Verizon going to unlimited data. Is that what we heard?
Up to 22 gig.
Oh, so there is officially a cap?
Yeah. All unlimited data is really limited. They just call it unlimited. After that, you can continue to use your unlimited data, but they then unprioritize your traffic. They put everybody else ahead of you. So you can get anywhere from normal speeds if you're in a decent area to 2G signal if you're in a heavily populated area. So, yes, T-Mobile and Verizon both do that. I don't know what T-Mobile's is, but if you really look into the Verizon one, it is actually 22 gig worth of data where at that point they...
And that is also not if you're necessarily hotspotting or not, and there's other...
Hotspotting costs extra.
Exactly.
It's an extra
so
$25 a month, but Verizon announced that yesterday. Not that we're a tech podcast, and then I believe today T-Mobile comes out and says, well, guess what? We're going to one-up you. Now our hotspots are free because they used to charge 10 or 15 bucks.
Dang.
So T-Mobile's always trying to one-up. Unfortunately, it does us no good because it's not the type of data. Well, it is the data that we use, but it's not the type of equipment
or
and setup
hardware
that we need.
that works
it
for
would be
us.
nice, trust me, to have some unlimited data.
All right, and I have communicated with Philo through Facebook Messenger. I just told him that we signed him out and gave all his props out there, and he said he apologizes, of course, for the signal, and I said everything was great, and he said, cool, see you next week. So thanks again to Philo for joining us here tonight.
For sure.
Gianni, I've got a few other quick notes here.
All right, rattle them off.
Philo. I know we've mentioned a few of the details. We were talking about the Next Generation Tour and some of the details regarding the dance. So please go out to nextgendiscgolftour.com. I might get that by the end of the year. nextgendiscgolf.com/dance. And your $15 ticket gets you a buy-in to that. And then you can read all of the details out there for what that means and how you can win stuff. That's all presented and put on by discgolfcenter.com. So wanted to make sure everybody knows. Seems like there's a lot of buzz that keeps being created around this tour. That's why we love bringing you kind of the updates as we have them each week. People should be excited. It's and Steve Dodge had talked about it too, as it will help feed into the Pro Tour. I just think of qualifying schools and some of those other things that have been talked about for many years. The other cool thing that I learned from the guys over at the Next Gen Tour is that through for the next week or two, you can go out to their Facebook page and guess the car. I guess it's going to be announced 2 weeks from today, but you can guess the car that they're going to be giving away. Did we? We had guesses a few weeks ago.
We had a few guesses. Yeah.
I don't recall what I did.
I think I said like a Camry,
something like that. So yes, those are all out there. I also just got a private message sent to me by none other than Abigail Farrow, and she let me know that she got two mini aces, mini golf aces. I believe
so like putt,
as some of the country refers to it. In a lot of the where we grew up, it was always referred to as mini golf. In a lot of parts of the country, it's referred to as putt. But she sent me a message. It looks like her and Ricky Wysocki are out playing some putt golf, and she got two aces. And
on Valentine's Day.
She wanted me to know, so I figured it's only right for me to announce it here on Smashbox. So, all right. Wow. Speaking of tours, I think we kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier, but there was an announcement on the Disc Golf Pro Tours website today, or actually a few days ago, how they're going to be working a little more closely with the PDGA, and you're going to see some cross-promotion between the PDGA, of course. I believe every stop on the Pro Tour is sanctioned in some capacity, whether it's B or A tier. But you're going to see some cross-promotion between the two, the PDGA and the Disc Golf Pro Tour taking place, promoting one versus another or one and another, back and forth, articles, write-ups, making sure they're linking to let everybody know where coverage is going to be. Coverage is going to be aplenty at both of those, on both of those tours. And more coverage news that we saw on the World Tours site. They announced today that the Jomez Pro, as in the Jomez production company, is going to be, it looks like they're going to be doing the rest of the World Tour events.
Well, what I saw is they didn't say the rest. They said the next two.
Oh.
Now, one would have to assume that they would also probably be brought in for USDGC unless UC has other plans, maybe bringing in like a true, not that these guys aren't, but a true production company, like a full-blown type thing.
Outside, maybe that's a better way to put it.
An outside production company, yeah, that's probably a better way to put it. But, what I saw on Reddit was that they are scheduled for the next, they were signing up for the next two events. So we will.
Oh, yeah. Correction. It does say the first line says Disc Golf World Tour and Jomez Productions have agreed today on Disc Golf World Tour's European events.
Yep, the Kona Piste and the European Open. So one would make the assumption that they are going to come and do USDGC as well. You can probably expect Jomez to finish out the World Tour. They have a really good working relationship with Spin, and they do a phenomenal job.
Yeah,
so it would not surprise me to see them finish this off.
Very exciting to see. Again, no real surprise there, as they've been killing it out there with their videos. And like you said, great working relationship. So you're going to see more of that moving forward.
Yep.
Yes, and there are lots of options out there for coverage. And I think at the Pro Tour event, for instance, I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe we're going to see coverage in some capacities from Central Coast Disc Golf, from Jomez, from Prodigy, and SmashBoxxTV. I think you're going to see, I believe, all four of those in some capacity, all taking place regarding the Memorial. So very exciting stuff to see, and I think you're going to see a lot of that at other events taking place as well. So good stuff. I already mentioned the voting. Of course, go out there, check out the Disc Golf World Tour as well as the Disc Golf Pro Tour, their respective Facebooks. That's where you can vote for who you want to see on the various featured cards at different events.
What else?
I've got a really good question, I guess, that could be lobbed out there.
Is this a regular show question or an after show question?
No, this is, I would say, a regular show question.
Hit me up. I'll tell you the answer.
The question is, do you feel like at major or minor disc golf events, it is fair and appropriate to have an exclusive manufacturer represented? Disc golf manufacturer representation per se, or i.e. the amateur payouts.
Oh, so you're not talking. Oh, you're talking for payouts, not necessarily for sponsorship.
No, not for playing or anything like. For payouts, for sponsoring an event, and therefore, in turn, having some form of exclusive payout.
I'll say this. I think much like everything we've been saying, communication is the key. Let people know that before they sign up, preferably. Because, I mean, you always, growing up in the sport, we always heard complaints about, oh, I wasn't there. I didn't get my funny money in time. I got left with what was left in the bins. And it was, old plastic from one manufacturer, new plastic that nobody throws from another manufacturer, back and forth. I could see the argument of, well, I don't throw any of this. I'm brand loyal, so to speak. But fair? Flip a coin as far as fair goes. I think it's really up to the tournament director and the type of deal that he or she cuts with the manufacturer. I don't mind it, personally. I mean, I think that as long as the players know, you can't.
Do the players have to know?
They should. You should.
So okay, let me just,
because I'll say this: we, like it or not, we looked at, and maybe it was just me, those advanced players that would cash large and then turn around and sell all their plastic. And they did it regularly. We kind of looked at them like, well, why are you an AM? I mean, honestly,
I think that's only gotten 100 times more prevalent now than 5 years ago or 10 years ago.
Or it was, yeah. I mean, when we were playing in AM more
20 years ago,
10 or 15 years ago, and it's so much easier to do it now because of the internet. Back in our day, you got your plastic, and if your friends didn't want it, you had it. Which is, if you go back through our bins, which is why you have all this old plastic that neither of us probably throw. Now you can turn around and just sell it on eBay or Facebook
before you're even home.
Before you're home,
yeah.
So.
So at whose responsibility is it to communicate what manufacturers will or won't be represented in a payout? The TDs, you're saying. So if we'll use this example, if Johnny V's Pizzeria is sponsoring an event, would you go there and be really mad that you only get to eat Johnny V's pizza? Would you expect Papa John's? Would you expect Domino's? Would you expect
You mean if they're giving it to me for free, or if it's the only option to buy? Because for a lunch, I can go wherever I want. It's
Correct.
my money. If they're handing something out for free and I don't like it, that's fine. I don't have to take it. I can take my business elsewhere. If I cash 150 funny money,
Okay.
and I walk up and all I have is whatever, well, how would you feel if at the end of the day you played, they handed you $150 Johnny V Pizzeria gift certificate? Said, there you go. There's your payout. I don't eat pizza.
Well,
I'm not from the area. I'm like, oh, sorry, Johnny V's Pizzeria. He makes a spicy pizza. he
I like it the spicy.
I like it the spicy pizza.
You make it in heart shapes for Valentine's
Day.
I'm good with that. If somebody,
I mean, that's how different truly is that.
well, using, I guess, my analogy of using pizzerias are bad, but
I'm just saying in general.
if I was going to a,
And are we guaranteed plastic? You and I have both been to events
Correct.
where an advanced winner, not necessarily winner, but someone further down the thing doesn't get even discs. They get
other stuff.
other stuff.
Yeah.
I once won a 2-liter bottle of soda and a squeegee. No doubt. It was like for bottom advanced cash or
Sure.
something. And can you complain about that? Is there something? I mean, the value of that was whatever bottom tie I had.
Sure. I mean, if you won $9 worth of stuff, or you had $9 in winnings, and that's how they granted you your $9, then technically, no, you really can't. I mean, you can complain, but it doesn't mean they're breaking any rules.
No, I mean nobody's
there's value in
nobody
which needs to be
says
handed
that
out.
the value has to be plastic or funny money.
All right, so here is where I will bring it full circle to this specific situation. A gentleman who runs events in the in Illinois area, somewhere in Illinois, had posed a question saying, I see that Ledgestone being a stop, of course, on the Pro Tour, and the largest, richest payout in all of PDGA history, that event.
Mm-hmm.
He was questioning and saying, hey, are some of you locals maybe not participating because it's exclusively, the payout's going to be exclusively through one disc manufacturer, Discraft, the presenting sponsor. And that question was posed, and watching that thread unfold, I don't know if it hurt my eyes. It was painful, and I'm not certain what else people expect. We've become very, very fortunate that at a given event, I'm a tournament director, for instance, and at any given tournament, I may provide 2 or 4 or 8 different versions or 8 different companies of manufacture winnings or plastic or payout or whatever. I may do that. You may go to some tournaments and they only provide 2. You may go to some tournament that's sponsored by company X and all of the payout is then given for company X. I'm not sure that that's such a crazy idea that when Discraft is handing out, for instance, a player pack worth $100 or $200 or $300 or $5 million, whatever it is, they're handing out this absurdly large player pack and these obscene, never seen before winnings at the end of the tournament, which they do not have to do, nor does the tournament have to do, because the player pack is already so ridiculous. But then there's complaints and frustration that it's all one brand. It's all from still Discraft. I'm sorry, but I don't know what marketing has gone astray out there, what people don't get, but Discraft's kind of paying for that right, so to speak.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I have no problem with the actual process of it, as long as it's known ahead of time. If Nate says, hey, guess what? Everyone who comes here that cashes is going to get Discraft plastic. All right, cool. I know that going in. If I don't want it,
do you feel like you have to know that ahead of time?
I feel like you should. Like, it should be out there. I would be a little, I'll say this, I would be a little disappointed if I went there and it's not a lot, but just a little bit. But again, it's a different day and age when you can turn around and sell your plastic way easier than you could back in the day. So if I didn't have a selection of stuff that maybe I wanted, especially if I cashed really well and I have $300 to spend in plastic, suddenly I'm like, I don't know what this does. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's good. I don't know what's bad. If I don't know what I can take and then turn around and sell. It's nice.
Sounds like a pretty big problem to have.
I agree. It's such a first world problem, but I like the fact that it's out there. I'd rather have it known than not.
Well, and so just to put the full story out there, Nate Heinold, the tournament director of the Ledgestone, had put out there, hey everyone, here's the payouts, here's the projected payouts. If the event were to fill, here's what all the payouts will be for all the different divisions, so on and so forth. And again, it's going to be a larger scale than any other time offered before in terms of all the amateur payout. But the amount of kickback that came in as people were saying it's not fair that only Discraft is offered, it kind of it made me sad. It made my heart sad.
I have no problem with
because
it.
People don't understand
the amount of
the concept of why it's only being offered. Yeah. They're putting up tens of thousands of dollars to host this event. Nate's putting in, and all of his staff and crew and all these other people are putting in all of this. It's marketing. And
I have, again, no problem with it. It is known ahead of time, hey, this is what you're going to get. Like it or not. If you don't like it, don't come, don't play, don't complain.
Yeah.
If I went there going with the expectation that I was going to have a choice of like an online store that sold tons of different types of plastic, fine. I don't go. I mean, and maybe this is just common sense with a lot of the bigger events. I don't think anyone goes to GBO thinking that they're going to get anything other than Trilogy plastic.
And that was an analogy that was brought up. So some people were saying, well, it's not fair. I go to the Ledgestone, presented by Discraft. I go to the Ledgestone event, and all I get is Discraft plastic. And someone else very quickly chimed in and said, what do you think you're getting when you go to GBO? You're getting Trilogy plastic. Yeah. You're getting Dynamic Disc, Latitude and Westside.
Legit.
Kind of makes sense.
And what you should, I mean, if you don't know that by now, you should know it going into, especially for these large events that are put on by these companies. I would be a little more disappointed if I went to a local B tier presented by you, let's just say, and I cashed and I was like, cool, I'm gonna go get some plastic. And you're like, oh no, sorry, you can't use any of that plastic that I know you have. We're just bunch of this stuff.
Well, whether I have it or not,
I know,
don't
but
think
just in general, like, oh no, all I'm doing is giving away this stuff, and you're kind of like, I wish I would have known that before I came. But because you don't expect it as much at a smaller event, the larger manufacturer events, I think you can and should expect that. And I think it might be a more common thing. The more we get into it, the more these manufacturers maybe push into particular events.
Well, which is exactly why you see the Gentlemen's Club presented by Innova, the Memorial presented by Discraft, so on and so forth. You're seeing these manufacturers put up tremendous amount of support, actual cash, in-kind cash, and items and player pack items. They're spending all of that money to help brand the event and to put their plastic into people's hands. That's why they do it.
Yeah.
And so to not be able to wrap your head around why you would go to an event like the Ledgestone and only be offered Discraft, I don't know. And I'm using a very specific case, obviously.
I think Luke Turnbull nails it. If it's a disc manufacturer sponsoring an event, no drama. If it's a retailer sponsoring and they limit to a certain manufacturer, that would be more drama. And I think that kind of nails it.
Yeah, that's one way to look at it. Sure.
I mean, as we said, would it be fair if you ran an event and then brought out all your 8-year-old plastic that nobody wants and say, all right, here you go, guys. You can cash out from here.
I think it would be
I mean,
within the rules, it would be fair and allowable. You would then be chastised as a TD,
correct,
for doing it, and then you have to worry about the long-term repercussions of that. Of course,
I agree.
Of course. So, Anyway, I just wanted to
Stop trying to get your grooves. Get rid of your grooves on me.
I just wanted to bring that up. It was an interesting debate. I understand not everybody loves any given plastic. You're gonna go, you know, like I said, plenty of people said, "Well, I go to GBO and I can't find a groove anywhere to replace mine." Well, that's just not the way that particular event is set up, or vending in that area. Everyone has their. I'm good with you having your likes and your preferences, but if you're going to an event that is primarily hosted by, or large in part presented by, a major manufacturer, you've got to assume they're spending those marketing dollars for a specific reason.
Yeah.
And just because you don't like it, don't cloak your BS in this not growing the sport, which is what so many people. That's not growing.
Is
yeah,
that what
of
it was?
course, because everybody, just like everybody loves to throw hashtag grow the sport on stupid shit that isn't growing the sport.
Drop the S-bomb during the podcast.
There's just as many people that love to drop it on when they say, "Well, that's not growing the sport." It goes both ways.
It does
for people that use that hashtag.
Yeah, and ultimately, again, in this day and age, it should matter less because it's way easier to sell it than when we were kids.
Sure, and if it's not, guess what? I don't care.
Yeah.
You being able to flip your plastic is still not my concern.
I agree.
It shouldn't be Nate Heinold's concern whether or not, well, hey, we really hope, Discraft's really hoping that as soon as you come to our event, you get a whole bunch of stuff that we really hope you can flip right away.
I know you're getting double the manufacturer support then. Not only do you get the guy who gets it, he gets to look at it all, but then he's giving it to somebody else.
And I'm not picking on Discraft. I'm using them in this one, and I think that's true of every event when you have your pockets of supporters and of particular manufacturers. So anyway, that was one of the conversations that took place out there.
Okay, so
yeah, and I'll let it go for now.
You should let it go for now.
I was some people that saw me get fired up last week as we talked about carts. I did see our good friend Jeremy Viles this weekend.
Did you talk to him about it?
I said, "Hey, where's your cart?" And he just smiled and he's like, "Oh, I didn't bring it, whatever." And he had no idea. He doesn't listen to our podcast, and that's fine. I was face to face with him. I didn't matter to me. He's like, the best thing about my cart is, it's all right there at eye level or whatever, because you don't have to bend over. And
yep.
Yeah, but I did get a few pictures this week. Some people sent me some photos of carts that had
awesome.
some wood integrated in them, and
some good, some bad, I'm assuming.
Well, it was one in particular.
We don't need to get
we don't even need to go there. So, all right, those were all my main conversation pieces that I had. I think the last thing we could talk about, which we quickly alluded to, was our battle box. We had Madison versus Schwebe.
Battle box!
And I think it's fair to say, as Steve Dodge asked me about it earlier tonight, how it went. And I think
gave it, on a scale of 1 to 10, I gave it about a 5.
Okay.
Because I think there's room to improve.
Correct.
We can tighten up the show. We can maybe improve on some of the graphics, maybe even some of the backgrounds. I think clearly we can pit people against each other that may be a little bit more in sync. Bye. I was so waiting for something, and you just volleyed it up. Anyway, that are more in sync than like Madison versus Schwebe. And granted, that wasn't our first option, but unfortunately, some of the other options we had just couldn't work out this particular weekend, and so we got 2 awesome other people, and it's just that they were very far out on the spectrum. So I think that we can definitely make it a tighter show and improve on what we have done.
Yeah, I think we need to, we've talked and we'll continue to look at the feedback that people have given us. We can certainly speed things up. We're going to scrutinize a little bit more in terms of scrutinize our actual questions and the time in which we give them to respond. And there's just a lot of little ways we can improve. So as I told Steve and as we've already discussed, you're going to see improvement. You're going to probably see, hopefully, lots of improvement very quickly, because now that we're a little bit more dialed in on being able to just do some of the actual technical things, but also I think we have a pretty good feel for how things can overall improve.
Yeah, and now that now that it's out there and we can talk about it more, we do want to do things like bring in Patreon supporters against maybe a pro, or have someone on the chat board, call in. We want to kind of have some viewer interaction in the future. So hopefully we can do that, and maybe pick two Smashies ahead of time and say, hey, dial in when you see this, and it'll ding, or when we message you, and you can come in and you can be part of the game. And we want to do a lot of that stuff. So I think that we are going to hopefully expand on this much more, and we just need to figure out a time for our I was gonna say our first show, because I kind of considered the first one we did a proto, but for our second show, for something like that. And I know the next couple weeks are very busy for you, so because you're traveling to Arizona and Vegas, so we just need to kind of nail down a time and get that worked out.
Well, it sounds like a plan, and we're looking forward to it. So thank you guys again. If you provided some feedback, it's probably exactly along the lines of what we were thinking. So you're not hurting anyone's feelings. We know that we can make it shorter, and we know that we can dial it in. I think that's the most important part.
Yep.
So look for more of those in the future for when we have a few of our players square off against one another. All right, Johnny, do you have anything else here on Valentine's Day or Valentine's night here that before we hit an after show of any kind?
I really don't. No. Look for Skip Ace Fantasy Disc Golf. Should be released, cross my fingers, in about 24 hours. I literally have one thing that's not working on the website that I reached out to my web guy last.
It's the login?
It's and it's just a little bit of JavaScript that I'm not that familiar with that's causing a small problem. Once I get that figured out, everything else should be pretty smooth. We should be able to, I need to make one little change then, and I will make it a big announcement, hopefully, cross my fingers, tomorrow afternoon, that everyone can log in. We are going to have a Patreon league. We will have a Yuli's Picks league. We're going to have, the standard, as we call it, the Skip Ace league. There's probably going to be a St. Jude charity league again, and there'll be probably I'm a greedy SOB $20 league. I want to win it all. So I think we're going to have kind of some of those going on. Plus, everyone has anyone can make their own league on the thing. So I'm really looking forward to it. Got a couple things cleared up, and we moved it to a new hosting provider. So I'm hosting it myself through Amazon now, and it's shaping up pretty well.
Well, it sounds almost as nice as the one that we saw a few years ago.
Which one?
Anyway.
Anyone.
We're going to have a giveaway here for our Patreon supporters. We're going to do that as we kick off the after show, which will be coming up in just a few moments. I've got a couple different options for things that we can give away. Again, we have some SmashBoxxTV t-shirts that were produced, a couple of dry fit styles, as well as a few super soft tee styles. So we have some of those that we will be offering up here for our Patreon supporters in just a few moments. So make sure you stick around for some of that sweet action. I think we can go ahead and call this. It's been a pretty solid night. We do want to say hello out there to our contributors in
Adele.
Hello. No, let me restart that. Hello. Anyway, we need to.
I only thought of that because 2 nights ago the Grammys were on, and she was out
I know,
there,
and I had to
so.
restart it because she had to restart her tribute. That's why I did that.
I didn't really watch it. So.
Anyway, I know we had Zoe reached out to me at one point today, but I don't know if I dropped the ball. I very well may have. She had reached out to me. I thought maybe she was going to be around tonight, but it doesn't sound like that's happening. And I know Yuli has talked about how he's going to be rejoining us soon, that he misses us, and that he misses getting dominated here on the show by me. So maybe he can get in on that action. A week from tonight, I may be doing a Smashbox call-in from none other than Las Vegas.
I know.
Crazy. Yeah.
Always bet on black.
Looking forward to that with Wesley Snipes. I'm looking forward to that. We'll have to figure out where and how it's going to work, but hopefully I'll be able to call in. Maybe I'll be able to round up a special guest or two, as Smashbox will be in Vegas well, half of us. I'll be in Vegas next week, so we're looking to round up a few special people or guests of some sort. So this has been podcast 131 here on Valentine's night 2017. Wow. Thank you guys for joining us. Again, number 131. Stick around for the after show. Right after we get into it, we'll be giving away something for our Patreon supporters, and we'll talk about other things that aren't related to disc golf and all sorts of other random topics and conversations. So stay tuned. So for Johnny V, myself, Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, and for our featured guest Philo, as well as our contributor in Dynamite, Dana Vici, we'll see you guys in the after show when you step inside the Smashbox.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the video credits. If you're interested in being listed as a producer on SmashBoxxTV's podcast, please visit patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV.
Smashbox TV after show. Welcome, everyone. Terry Miller, the disc golf guy with Johnny V. We are here for our Valentine's night after show, wrapping up podcast 131 with Philo Brathwaite and Dana Vici. And we're back at it. Just to give you guys a little more action, we also are going to have a giveaway here starting off the after show. And Johnny, how can someone be eligible for one of our magnificent giveaways?
Terry, I'm glad you asked.
Okay.
If you'd like to be eligible for one of our wonderful giveaways, you can join the currently, I think we are literally $1 away from $200 a show from our supporters. We have 85 patrons right now. So if you go to patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV and donate as little as you possibly can, you are eligible for our weekly giveaway. We've been giving away shirts and discs and
minis and glow-in-the-dark discs.
Yeah, all this other stuff. So right now, literally, we're $1 away from our next goal, which is $200 a podcast, which means no advertisements ever. Not that we've been getting a lot of advertisements in general, but you can guarantee that this particular podcast will not have a commercial of any sort. So
what about strongly worded
endorsements?
Endorsements.
Strongly worded endorsements, I think, are kind of okay. I'll let those go because you and I both will do that on occasion if it's a product or something we really like,
or are passionate about,
or very
work
passionate
directly
about.
With in a frequent nature.
But yeah, you're not going to see us in general, is cut away for a specific type of commercial. So that is kind of what we're doing right now. So
all right.
Right now I am sorting. Let's see here. There
he is doing some sorting of all of the people that have contributed in any capacity here for our Patreon account. And then each week we do some type of a giveaway. More often than not, it's here in the after show. And then we'll reach out to the person that won, and we can let them know what it is that they won, if it's something that they have a choice of or we need a size or something like that. And they'll get back to us, and then usually within a week to 6 weeks, I'll actually get it mailed out. So there's a few people that have won recently. Your stuff went out. Some went out today. Some went out yesterday. I think I'm pretty well caught up.
Yeah,
somebody asked us to sign one of our giveaways. Yes. So they requested. So we were able to get that signed today. So it will actually go out tomorrow. I believe that was Mike who had asked that for a previous giveaway. So Mike, your stuff's going to be in the mail tomorrow. It's already boxed up. It's already got a label on it. It just needed Johnny V's signature, who I only see once a week.
I know.
If I'm lucky.
You're sad.
So lucky.
You should be sad.
Danny says that he just pledged.
Oh, thank you, Danny.
Saying that he would be the newest person. So I don't know if you want to add Danny to that list in a random capacity. Let's double check that we can see it. Normally there's a cutoff, and Johnny gets really worked about his cutoffs. But Danny, I think I've seen that you're doing
Yep.
all sorts of videos and such out there. We appreciate it.
I see it out there. So
we'll add Danny to the list.
I'm gonna add Danny to the list.
We usually the cutoff was 5 minutes ago, but we're gonna add Danny because Danny does some great stuff. Go out and look at Danny's videos. He does a lot of instructional stuff that can really help you improve your game. So.
All right, then here I'm going to generate a new random number, and that new random number is 64. So 64, I'm going to scroll down to 64. So it's somebody with a later in their alphabet, because I sorted it by first name this week.
Every week's a little different.
64. Rebecca Hall Duffy, our PDGA board director?
President.
President?
PDGA president.
President. Our PDGA president. So I wanted to say, but that was Brian, was the board of directors. So
no, Brian was our executive director.
He did it all.
You'll get it.
Someday I'll get it. Anyway, so Rebecca Hall Duffy. So we'll reach out to Rebecca and see what her interest is.
Yeah, we have a disc. I have an option of a disc or a T-shirt. We'll see what Miss Duffy is looking for, and we'll make sure to get it out to her, and she can proudly support or throw one of her Smashbox related items. So
definitely. Thank you, Rebecca, for being
Rebecca.
a sponsor as always, and thank you for everything you do for the PDGA, even if I have no clue what your position is.
No, you just like to ramble.
It's just numbers and letters and names. Anyway, so congratulations.
Yes, that is
and
tough.
Thanks to everybody again, as always, for supporting us. We really appreciate everything you guys do. Without you guys, this would be way less possible than what we can right now. So that and all of our contributors that are on the show, such as Dana and stuff, they all get a little slice of it as well. Not much, trust me, just a little bit, just a little bit. So when we appreciate them, because without them, this show does not work nearly as smoothly as it could. So thank you very much.
For sure. So thank you guys. Thank you all of our Patreon supporters, and I'd like to make a plug. With that being said, here comes a commercial. No, I would like to say my Patreon page has gone largely ignored, not by you guys, well, by you too, but it's largely ignored by me, and I take full blame for it. It was something I started a few years ago, and I just did not keep up with it as much as I should have. I see that obviously people support it, and I appreciate that, and continued support. I appreciate it for my video blog series. However, some of the things that I've promised and offered to do or whatever, I want to make good on anything and everyone out there. So look for some messages, to come your way. I'm going to rewrite all of the descriptions for it. It talks about a drone, which is actually years in the past, just years old, actually. There's all sorts of things on there. It needs to be completely revamped and rewritten. So look for that as well. And I've had some pretty serious supporters out there. I was looking the other day. There's, I'll keep them nameless for now, but there's been people that have supported over the in the area of $1,000 in contributions throughout the last few years in terms of my video blog. So
that's awesome.
I appreciate it, all the support that comes in. So thank you guys.
And just a quick reminder for those that don't know what Patreon is.
Oh yeah,
it's basically a way to support artists and bloggers and things like that. If you feel like you're getting some sort of value out of our show and feel like you would like to give some value back in the form of dollars and cents, that's kind of what Patreon does. I'm looking at my the Smashbox Patreon, which is kind of under my account, and I'm a supporter of 7 different podcasts or people in general. I see Jomez on there, Terry, a couple podcasts, one called We Have Concerns, Cord Killers, Weird Things, Daily Tech News Show, Night Attack, which is actually doing a podcast on Tuesday nights right now. I support all of them because I enjoy listening to them weekly or even, 2 or 3 times a week, depending on what the show is. So if you feel like you're getting something out of the show and feel like you want to give back, that's how you do it. So we appreciate it.
All right, enough of that.
Enough plugs.
Yeah. We see out on the board a lot of our regulars, so thank you guys so much. Cool One, I believe, is out there.
Not being blocked anymore.
Ouch.
Something weird happened. Rick had said that he didn't block anybody, but it said he was blocked by Rick, so I immediately went and unblocked Cool One, knowing that he's a regular listener and this and that. So
and Rick Hushain out on the board as well. Rick, hi. Hope all is going well for you. Apparently, I said I was going to give a shout out for Kayla. There it is. So we can move past that.
Cool. I was going to say, Cool One says that I think Terry and JVD need to wear hats for the after show to know that it's the after show. And one of the things I was actually thinking is maybe,
I was thinking we should just do shots during the whole after show.
I don't have any. I can go up and get some whiskey, straight shots of
Whatever.
whiskey. No, I was actually thinking of a different lower third a little bit, maybe one that
there
just
you
says
go.
after show on it, for letting people know.
Let's just put like an after show like button over your face.
Ooh, there we go.
We get more people to watch. Just an idea. Big old after show button all over your face. I think that'd be a great idea.
So there's yeah.
So speaking of interaction, fan interaction, I was tuned into, and I don't know if it wasn't a Facebook Live. I believe it was an Instagram Live video, which I've now done all of 3 or 4 myself, usually after the after show, for what that's worth. Follow me on Instagram at the Disc Golf Guy. But just yesterday, I was logged into an Instagram Live of Paul Macbeth's.
Okay.
He's out in California. He's there with his good friend John Tompkins.
How does he do Instagram Live when he's too busy doing push-ups?
He was out there
for him?
playing. He was playing a round of disc golf out in Oak Grove, Pasadena. Philo's, some of Philo's
yep.
stomping grounds there.
Definitely.
And I almost called you, and I knew you would probably say what you normally say, but I got borderline enraged
At people.
posting the dumbest shit in the world. Sorry. There's another S-bomb. I apologize.
I'm going to have to hit the explicit tag on this one.
Please, please, for the love of... Like, so many of our players, if you want to be a fan, so many of our players post their schedule. I have talked about their schedules, put it in a million places. They are not going 19 hours out of their way to come play in your C tier. And I don't know why I feel I have to get worked up on their behalf.
I don't know why
but
you
it's
do either.
obnoxious to see it, because when I logged out, I actually edited myself.
But here's the thing. Right
They
now,
don't know?
No. Right now, you're preaching to a choir. These are not the people that are doing this.
Not necessarily. This is a little bit of a
Well,
pro
I'll-
tip.
I'll say this.
This is a
The
bit of a
people that
pro
are
tip.
watching right now are not. Maybe the people that are listening later. No, I
maybe.
guarantee you, none of those smart people that are watching right now at this exact minute are doing that because they're smart people.
Okay.
Most of our listeners are smart.
So
but some of them might be a little
instruct
bit-
everyone you know
Yeah.
that you don't need to ask. There's even, well, here's one for you. There is a sponsored professional that was on there that continually is asking about a particular disc. Paul, throw this, or when are you going to throw this? And he asked
Really?
literally dozens of times. And it just becomes so incredibly obnoxious. I
think
almost logged off and said,
I think
this
that's
is
what-
too
that's what-
obnoxious. Good
That's
luck.
what blocking is for.
I wish I could have, because I wish I had moderator on his account to do just that. It becomes so it becomes unenjoyable for almost everyone else to watch when there's nothing but the same question that gets asked 300 times. More than likely it's a dumb one, but it's the same one. And that's why I logged off. I couldn't stand. And I'm not saying if you have a legitimate question and it hasn't been answered that you know of, or you don't see it or whatever, and you want to ask it, I get it. But hey, Paul, I don't even want to get into them all. There were so many of them. I don't understand it. Alfred wants to know if we can come play at his C tier in North Korea.
Hey.
That's about as likely as some of the questions that were being asked yesterday. And could someone say, well, they don't know any better?
That's, yeah.
You could.
could say
You
that.
could say that. Hey, have you ever played in such and such, whatever place? No.
Those are fine questions.
No. But then the 6 follow-ups to it?
Yeah.
Well, you really should. Oh, we've got a sweet league. There's 18 people at it. You definitely should come play against me and my buddies. I don't know. It gets obnoxious, but okay. All right.
Yeah.
Ooh, tournament bag includes sponsor disc and Alfred's mom's kimchi. I don't know what
I
that
don't know
is.
what that is. That could be offensive. I'm not sure.
Let's hope
yeah.
not. Terry needs a Snickers.
He does.
I'm sorry.
Terry gets worked up over little things.
Well, I think get on there, ask. This is your time to ask. I mean, think of it as any other idol or any other or well, whether it's an idol or celebrity or whatever. Ask something effing relevant. I challenge you, people. Maybe that's how I should have just worded this and said. I challenge you that if you saw your favorite movie star, you saw your favorite sports player, you saw your favorite
Musician.
pope or musician.
Pope.
I challenge you. I challenge you.
I've got a favorite pope.
Give something of substance. A question, a comment, or a remark that has some legitimate substance rather than just belting out the dumbest effing thing you can think of. That's it. That's where I'll leave it. I will challenge you people to do that. If you ran into your favorite actor, what would you say? Do you think you'd maybe come up with something relevant that like is mildly either
Depends.
unique or inquisitive, or would you be, hey,
come visit me in Milwaukee.
you really should do like a special release party in Milwaukee for your next video. Maybe you want to do this private screening in my basement?
No, I get it.
Because that's the equivalent of what some of these questions and some of these statements are.
I know.
Hey, Robert De Niro.
I'm gonna start giving you NyQuil before the show just to keep it down.
It got me so infuriated.
Yeah, Terry, who is your favorite pope?
I don't have one.
No, I mean they're all they're pretty equal to me.
Good. I'm glad everybody's gonna like that example.
Yeah, that's
that's
the best example I think you've ever given. That's right up there.
All right. So lots of a lot of insights coming in on the boards. Hey Jeff, good to see you and hear from you, buddy. Jeff out in Colorado. I'm sure I'll be seeing you plenty around the tour this year. Yeah, see? Chris Cobb says, I don't discriminate popedom. All right. SW such and such says, you have to remember your job, Terry, is to ask good question, which I think you do, but most people don't have this filter. That's what I'm saying. I'll leave it at that. I will say, I just challenge you. I challenge you to be mildly insightful or to just not blurt out the dumbest first thing that comes to your mind when you see someone. And I guess I think of a Gary Vaynerchuk, social media super guru. He talks about like getting selfies with people and this and that. And he said, I personally, rather than getting a picture with someone, I'd like to like get to know them or ask them a question or have a conversation with them. And I know you can talk about that at scale with millions of people and how can you do it. And it's easier just to take a picture. That's fine. And everybody has their different philosophy of how you may handle a celebrity or an idol or something of that nature. But that's why I say I'll leave it at that. I challenge you, if you're on a way to interact with people, give them something of substance. That's all. I don't think that's an inappropriate or unfair challenge or request.
I don't think it is. You're right. So Cool One asked a question.
Oh, please make it be dumb. No,
it's not. It's a good question.
I'm kidding.
He's a disc golf question. Is
Yes.
placing a disc in a basket legal? Literally touching the basket with disc in hand, no throw, legal tap in. I think if you set the disc in, take your hand off it, take it. That is that is considered a throw. Now, the question is, do you officially have to let go of the disc? Is that? I mean, if I set the disc in there and never take my hand off of it, and then pick it out, have I really tapped out? I mean, is that much different than, as we've seen a lot of AMs, or we've all done it playing casual rounds, just tap the chains and walk away.
That's definitely not legal.
Correct, but
The disc needs to come to rest in the basket.
Okay, so if I literally take my hand, just rest it in the basket on the disc, and then pick it up and walk away, has that come to rest, or is coming to rest?
Well, let me read to you PDGA
80205.
Holing out. This is a family-friendly show. Section B, object targets. It says, in order to hole out, The thrower must release the disc, and it must strike the marked target area on the object as specified by the director. So,
And I think that's the question. If he just
if
sets it
the
in,
thrower must release the disc,
he just lets
and
it
it
go.
must strike the marked target area on the object as specified by the director.
Strike. I don't like the
Well,
word strike.
I think they use
but I understand the concept. I
Well-
get it. You have to let go of the disc. I knew that.
Well, and I think they
actually,
use
but-
the term strike because you could technically play a PDGA sanctioned event where you have to hit a cowbell hanging
Correct.
from a pole. So,
Yep. So because we're not always playing to baskets, even though that's what 99% of our tournaments are, 99.9%. We do have the occasional pole hole, cowbell, tube tone, whatever it is. Yeah.
So there is your official reading. Again, 802.05 holing out on the PDGA rules. Last updated Wednesday, December 26, 2012. In order to hole out, the thrower must release the disc and it must strike the marked target area on the object as specified by the director.
Yeah.
So I hope that answers the question. Now, what I think,
It does. I mean, yes, it does need to be released. You need to let go.
I
of the
think
disc.
the real legitimate question is sometimes people, myself or you or whatever, if you're not thinking about it, you technically sometimes people when you're 2 feet away, you may touch the basket or something and then put it in, or like some people don't think about that, or they kind of rest their hand or something, or their wrist or whatever. There's been all sorts of ways where you could be touching the basket or have something to do with it before you're releasing it, and one could argue if you're touching something in front of your lie, and I think there's a very nitpicky argument that could be had in a different situation or in some of those situations. But
Sure.
yes, you do need to release the disc. You do need to so we see it all the time when people walk up and, as you just said, slap the chains and then walk on. Absolutely not legal in PDGA play.
Correct.
Not legal. Wow, Terry, wrong paragraph? Why is that?
I don't think you read the wrong paragraph. Maybe he's.
Oh.
I mean, I know that's what he said, and I'm assuming he was talking about that, but.
Dad's drunk online. Log in, not.
He's one
I'm
of
not
my.
saying that.
I know he's
Saying, is Terry rocking the pointer ring? I see you. Yes, I've had that ring on my hand, I think, since like 1998 or so. 98, 99 is where that's been.
I know,
You're reading from the object targets. Oh, not basket targets. Oh, good call then. Really? I'm reading from 802.05 for holing out. Let's get this correct. I do not want to screw this up. I did just a Google search, and that's exactly where it led me to.
To holing out, yeah.
Tournament procedures. Again, doing a little research here. These can all be found on pdga.com/rules.
He says Part A, not Part B. That's what Danny says. So.
Oh, well, let's read Part A then. Excuse my delay here. Part A. Oh, basket targets. In order to. Okay, thank you. Hence why we clarified. For basket targets, in order to hole out, the thrower must release the disc, and it must come to rest supported by the chains and/or the inner cylinder, bottom and inside wall of the tray. It may be additionally supported by the pole. The disc that enters the target below the top of the tray or above the bottom of the chain support is not holed out. Okay, so that again clarifies a disc that comes into the side. So you throw a shot or a putt or a drive or whatever, and it comes in and it wedges right inside. If it wedged from the side, it does not count at all unless it went over the tray and is wedged on its way back out, and that has to be determined at that point. But a disc, you're throwing a putt, you're 22 feet away, and you're throwing a nice floppy warm putter someday, and you throw it, and it goes right into the side of the basket, and it wedges in, it does not count.
I don't like that. I think it should, but that's
I agree. I think
that's
it should
just me
as well.
personally.
No, I totally agree. I think it should as well, but it doesn't.
Personally, I think, and I think I've always said this, if the basket is supporting your disc in any way, I think it should count. I think disc resting on top should count. If I want to walk up for a 6-inch putt, set my disc on the top of the basket, I think it should count. I don't necessarily think I should have to be beneath the top, in the cage. that's just my opinion. If somehow I wedge it, where we've seen it hang on the outside of the basket, that's relatively common. I think that should count.
Yeah,
But, as long as it's not touching the ground for a basket. Now, obviously, you're going to have different, those things don't count with the other object golf. But for a basket, if it's supported, I'd like to see if it's just supported by the basket.
I agree. I dislike the rule change a few years ago where they say a wedge disc on the side doesn't count. I'm not a fan of that. I wish it would still count, as you're saying. A question that was asked. Terry as a TD, do you get a lot of tattling or complaints regarding players while running a tournament? Unfortunately, I don't know if I'd say unfortunately. I don't. I wish more people would bring up legitimate rules issues and would either bring them up within their group and address them. That would be ideal. Or even secondarily, bring them up with a TD. I think what happens far too often, and all of us can be guilty of it, is you see a rule being broken or not necessarily followed the way it should be, and then in your head you kind of determine, well, how egregious was that? Was it really? Is it really a big deal? Is it really not? Should I bring it up? Should I not? Should I bring it up with that player? Should I bring it up with the TD? I'm going to be the first. I don't think this is the first time I've admitted it here on the show. I will admit, though, there's been times I've been 2 feet away at a C-tier tournament. I've been 2 feet away, and I go up and I just drop my disc in without marking it. I'll be the first to admit it. hang me by my feet and tar and feather me.
So you pick up your disc?
I'll pick it up and drop it. I've done it. I will.
I don't like that.
Of course not. I broke a rule. I have broken a rule at that point.
I don't.
I would deserve any and all warnings and punishments and strokes that then follow.
I've never done that.
Ever?
No.
Never.
Not at a PDGA
Never
event.
once have you.
Not that I recall.
Illegally? Wow.
No.
Good on you. I have done it.
I'll
admit to it.
Obviously, before.
I'm a bad man.
You're a bad boy, Terry. Before you could actually use your disc as a marker.
Yeah.
I would take a disc and just, put my foot behind my disc and put it in, things like that. But obviously that rule's changed. But I've never picked up a disc and dropped it in.
I've done it more than once.
Just because it just doesn't feel right. And it shouldn't, because you're breaking the rules. I understand that. But it's just one of those things for me. I would sooner, and I haven't done this, but I would sooner at least just tap the chains and walk away. That would be a more likely thing.
No, I'd never tap the chains.
I know. See, I've never done it, but I would be more likely to do that.
I'm not a chain tapper.
Than pick up a disc and use it. That's really weird.
Yeah, I will admit I've done it. So if I've played with you, I sincerely apologize,
Terry.
I'm going to find my favorite pope, and I'm going to confess to him as well, or her. But yes, I have in fact done that. Ronald Harkey asks, and this is a great follow-up, Terry has also headbutted putts, which is pure showmanship. That's true. Now, that's just me being a baller for 16 consecutive years, headbutting a putt into the basket. That's just sheer skill. Ron asks, do you base a call whether or not someone, based on the level of tournament, C, B, and A?
I think you kind of do.
I think,
it depends on the tournament, and it depends on the rule.
Correct.
If I see, even if it's a C tier, if I see someone that's 15 feet away, more or less step putt, we'll say, reach forward in front, and I would call that.
Yep.
If I see someone at a C tier do what you had just did, I probably wouldn't call that. I might tell them, depends on the player too. How new are they? I might say, hey, FYI. You should really mark that. Mm-hmm. Terry, you've only been playing for 25 years. You should probably mark that.
Mm-hmm.
But at an A tier, I think you call pretty much everything.
Well, I think you're more inclined to. Similarly, if you see someone with 2 holes to go drinking a beer, and I'm not saying this for myself, but if someone sees another person drinking a beer with 2 holes to go on a 2-round tournament, versus seeing someone crack a cold one with 2 holes to go or 9 holes to go or whatever at an A tier, I think you're more likely to bring it up at the A tier level. Rules are rules. That's like saying, well, can I go 5 over on the interstate versus 5 over,
In a school zone.
in a school zone, or 5 over on a country road with no one on it. I mean, there's
situational.
It can be a little situational, but technically, yeah, at all those points you're breaking rules. I think how they're called and who's calling them definitely factors. And then, like Johnny said, I think a great example is also the the impression you want to give with a newer player who maybe genuinely didn't know a rule.
Yeah.
I think there's fair or not, there's usually a little bit more leniency when you know someone's playing in their first ever C tier, and
Even if they were playing in their first ever B tier.
Sure.
I-
And
I-
they're
if
doing
it's
something
the
that you-
level of the player.
exactly, and they clearly didn't know, you might be a little bit nicer or forgiving with it.
Christian asks, what about calling people on smoking and or drinking? We could leave that up to Jordan Castro. He's a big fan of that. No, I would have, for the most part, I would say 98% of the time, I would call them. I would call them on it. I would first probably ask them not to do it. Hey, you probably don't want to do that. And for better or worse, most people don't do it around us because we have had a reputation of
We're
being,
straight edge, bro. Straight edge.
I don't have a drink tonight. Of being a little bit more
In tune with the rules.
in tune with the rules, as opposed to maybe some people that are out less in tune with the rules and casual.
But now everybody knows my.
So we have kind of had a reputation in the past of where people know that. I don't think they would do that around us in general. Now there are instances or events, particular locations where I may overlook that, depending on the quality of the event, the tier of the event, whether or not it is tiered, and
who the TD is.
and who the TD is.
I'll say this: there's
You
an
know.
there's an awkwardness in our sport where extracurricular
But
herb smoking may be done by someone, but then if you go to a TD who has you don't think is going to act on that stance, that can be a challenge.
but again, that would be,
for instance,
that would be so few and far between for me. For the most part, if it's a regularly sanctioned event at a regular location, I'm calling it every time. Period. And that's just, I think that's what we need to do, and that's what should be done. Very few instances I can think of where I would not do that.
Is it tough to go to a TD that's drunk to report someone else drinking that it was in your group? Does that make it a little tougher?
You should drink less. I would think, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yes, I have just admitted to a few rules infractions. I hope somebody calls me on them next time if I ever get to play
I
anymore.
hope so. I hope he'll warn you.
Any more tournaments. So let's see. It's what about vaping? Has that been addressed? Vaping is considered part of the fair or not. It's considered part of the smoking and or tobacco policy. I don't know if it's a tobacco policy or a smoking policy. Either way, vaping is in fact I don't want to say protected. That's not the right word. Is included within that. So if there is not at PDGA majors, for instance, smoking is not allowed during the rounds, or smoking or chew and whatever. So that vaping is included. E-cigarettes is how I think they defined it, but they may even need to broaden that for what they're trying to specifically address. But those are not allowed during majors. As with any smoking, if it is it could be considered a courtesy violation if someone in your group objects to it, I guess is the best way to put that. So if someone is smoking an e-cigarette or vaping on their mod or whatever the terminology is, or smoking a regular cigarette or whatever the case might be, if they're doing it, and you can ask them to not do it if it's affecting you, and that becomes quite a subjective and judgmental call. But yeah, that's I think where all that falls. I thought I heard a story about Terry maybe confronting someone for coming high. Well done. I don't think I've ever confronted someone for that.
Not that I recall. Jordan Castro's on the board. There was the incident with him last year where he he brought it up, and he got some kickback from it. Unfathomable to me. I guess not unfathomable, but just unconscionable, I would say, because I give Jordan mad props for that. So.
Jake says almost every single tourney he plays is non-PDGA, so there's always, we'll say, the extracurricular smoking going on. That's certainly something that I think at a non-sanctioned event is you're going to probably see more frequently, more commonly.
Definitely.
Maybe that's one way to put it. Just as smokers would. Oh, okay. So it seems to be a side conversation here. Top pros who smoke. Ken Climo smokes cigarettes. Dave Felberg does. Oh, as listed on the board. Felberg and Climo. All right. Other than Macbeth, no other top pros. All right. I asked people on my card before and act accordingly. I think that's always the polite way, and that's maybe a good final PSA on the whole smoking conversation is.
Just in general.
Yeah, it's polite to ask if smoke. Some people are allergic to smoke. Some people have asthma and other things where just even the slightest hint of it. In fact, one of our favorite smashies from south of the border here in Illinois has suggested that Wisconsin, because he travels to Wisconsin, plays a lot of Wisconsin events, he's even suggested and proposed, hey, is there any chance Wisconsin's events would consider a smoking ban during events, all events, not just majors, but all events? He says the only time he experiences smoking, the only time in his personal life, obviously him nor his wife, but at work and all of his other activities, nowhere else does he encounter cigarette smoke until he goes to play tournaments every weekend. And when you think of it that way, you yourself, a non-smoker, myself, a non-smoker, that's an interesting situation. The one thing you go do on the weekends, not that we do ever anymore, but sometimes that's your one getaway is on the weekends to go play disc golf. And if that's not part of your life and lifestyle, but yet you may be playing on a card with 3 people that smoke cigarettes.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you're put into that position. And you could say it's outside and everyone has their rights, and I get all of that. I understand there's a bunch of different arguments to it. But if you sit back and think about it, some people don't encounter any kind of secondhand smoke unless they're playing disc golf. Something to think about. All right.
Someone just asked on the board why anyone know why Val isn't playing the Memorial. Val is playing the Memorial. She is not playing the Gentleman's Club Challenge. So that is out there, and that is because her and Nate are doing their brewing in the Arizona area. So I don't believe they're going to make that trek over to
they've brewed there, and they're going to be heading back to Portland, I think. I don't know that they're staying down here that whole time.
Oh, really? I thought like once.
That would be a good question.
I thought they had kind of just that they had started their tour, so to speak, and kind of were making.
I don't believe that to be the case. I believe they flew down to Arizona and are flying back. I know they're enjoying Arizona Beer Week as we speak, but I believe they're flying back to to Oregon, and then they'll be driving down ultimately for the Memorial. I assume they may actually just even fly in for the Memorial now that I think about it.
Yeah, that could be.
We'll have to get to the bottom of that. Somebody on the board said earlier, I think it was Chris was his name, said that he thinks Val will be unsponsored. I think you're wrong, but I guess we'll see. Everybody's got an idea. So would Val likely have a sponsor, Chris is asking. I
think she will.
I think she will, too. Yeah, I think she will. There we go. A guy on my card asked if I minded if I smoked, and he said yes, and then he kicked my ass. Is that okay per PDJ rules?
Was it before or after the event?
Exactly. Okay, I like this one. What do you guys think about players with 900-plus ratings in the recreational division of sanctioned tournaments? That should not be happening. There's a few slight instances where it could potentially happen, but per the rules, it should not be happening. Now, if you are playing a series of events, we'll call it the Wisconsin Tour. You're playing in a series of Wisconsin Tour events, and you have submitted the paperwork. The TDs have all submitted the paperwork accordingly, and someone has been at $8.99 for 9 tournaments, and then at the 10th, by the time the 10th tournament rolls around, they have moved up to 907. I believe the buffer is a 10-point buffer, and at that point, if it is part of a series and it's been declared as such per the PDGA sanctioning agreement, that person is eligible to still compete. If they go to 911 or 912, they are not eligible to compete anymore for sure, indefinitely, in that lower division. However, there is, I believe, a 10-point buffer if it is part of a series. If it's just the random B tier and you're rated 909, you absolutely cannot be playing in recreational. So, and that is the onus on that is ultimately with the player and secondarily with the TD. So the TD should be double checking it, which is a pain in their rear. And the player themselves are the one who are ultimately at fault. If I run an event with 200 people, yeah, I should probably double check. I know I should. I should double check, that people's ratings are within line. Nobody should know more about their player rating than the player themselves. So if someone is above that rating, they absolutely should be reported, and it should be dealt with in whatever means are necessary. Same thing about an advanced level player a 954 rated player who's trying to play intermediate. Absolutely, it shouldn't be allowed. So, yes. So I feel like that should be a non-issue. It shouldn't be happening, period, because you're not eligible to play in that division. So I hope that makes perfect sense to you guys. Sandbag. I mean, they're a sandbagger, but they're ultimately a cheater at that point. Dad's Drunk is asking if marijuana is okay in tournaments in Colorado, Washington, California, etc. It is not. It may be a statewide law that is that's intact and legal and all of that great stuff. However, it is still not then legal at tournaments. Same with alcohol. The alcohol may be legal in all of those places, or in all 50 states probably, maybe not in a few. But alcohol is something that may be of legal at certain legal ages and such, but it's still not legal during a tournament. So just because it's legal generically doesn't mean it's legal during tournaments. Discuss the legalities of my headbutt putts. I don't know if there's any legalities to that.
I don't think there's a.
I've flipped putts into a basket too using my foot.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. A foot, I'm not sure about.
Why?
But, I mean, I would assume it should be fine.
Why wouldn't it be?
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, assuming that the disc was somehow controlled by you, it left your possession and it stopped it at rest somewhere in the basket, outside the basket, wherever. Then I think you're fine. I mean, I don't think it would be a difference if you put the disc in your mouth and threw it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Which I should probably try next. That should be one of our challenges. Have our top pros put a mini in their mouth, and they have to see how far they can propel it.
I don't think anyone gets it more than probably 15 feet.
Okay. Well, sounds like we got a challenge. All right. So, yeah, completely legal. The headbutt putt, I have typically taken the disc and pushed it against my head and then propelled it forward. It would be no different if I did I think the freestylers call them a chest roll. If I took it, rolled it across, out, and then had it flip off and into the basket, it'd be no different. Question is, should I do it with gloves on?
The friction gloves?
Yes. Hey, you said no commercials. All right. Do you think the ratings for divisions are fair, or should they be changed? I think they're absolutely fair because they're 100% arbitrary. Right?
Yeah.
Because who cares? Who? And I'm not picking on you, but who cares? If you wanted to say, okay, I think all recreational players should be between 944 and 655, then that's that division. Then I mean, they're just names that are attached to a certain set of numbers, and you have to play within whatever those numbers are. So I think they're perfectly fair. Luke, have a good night. Time to log off. Who does that? It's Valentine's, bro. God, where do you got to be? Because if you're just starting your Valentine's night now, I think you're doing things wrong.
Or you're doing things really right. If you're on the West Coast,
9:30 there.
9:30. Starting your
Okay,
Valentines.
Okay. Maybe.
Just saying.
All right. Just let's see if I can get caught up on other questions here. Can a person play up to a junior division? You have to be of a certain age.
Yeah, junior is restricted based on age and then rating.
No, I don't know. Yeah. Age then rating. I was gonna say, yeah. I think, you can have.
Yeah.
I did think how you worded that. You have some clever wording. Yes, you could have 1,010 rated junior.
Yeah,
for sure. I.e. David Wiggins, circa 2010-ish, or he was junior aged. That's a good way to put it.
Danny asks, any ideas for instructional videos? I've been aiming at pretty new players. Should I get more technical? Oh, Danny. Okay. Well, I haven't been really paying. I've been doing other things. I've been watching some of Danny's videos off and on.
You'll get better someday.
I'm just trying to think. What do you think? I mean, Avery Jenkins did the inside the game. And those were pretty good. We've seen
deep in the game.
We saw Stokely way back in the day do some stuff. You and I have talked about it for years, and we'll never do it. What would be? I mean, footwork is always important.
I haven't seen everything that you've done.
No,
I trust
neither
that
have I.
You're doing. I mean,
I don't personally like putting videos in general because I think everybody has a unique putting style. I think there are key points to hit on, but in general, push putt, spin putt, flop putt, turbo putt. I mean, there's just
headbutt putt.
I
think that video needs to come out tomorrow. I think I need to go out there and make it happen.
Do a real fancy thing like
It's awesome graphics. Have drone footage. Have it all fly in. I should make that happen.
We could do it
for the famous headbutt putt. That wouldn't be a bad idea. Get as technical as you want. I mean, as you know, views will be your judge as to if it's the right amount or if you need more. How you can get into it.
Yeah, that's so tough. I mean, I don't know. I always think that there are a lot of people out there doing form videos.
Mm-hmm.
I think we need more videos out there instructing beginners. Like, hey, beginner, maybe prop, go to a local tournament or something and kind of act something out like, oh, look at you grabbing that way over stable disc and slap it out of his hand and hand him like, here is the disc you should use. It's a speed 7 and it has a lot of turn. There you go. Use this one. It's going to benefit you as opposed to this. I think there maybe some more of those type videos would be good. We've always talked about rules videos. I think those are always good. I think there's definitely a niche to hit on. So. Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're using a sidearm, that's going to be a different type of disc. You're going to use overstable disc for that. But in general, most of our players,
Kurt asks if I've crashed the drone. No, but the update is
you flew it.
I flew it tonight, just before coming over to Johnny V's. I gave it a little whirl. I was in an unobstructed parking lot. It didn't get more than 15 or 20 feet off the ground intentionally, and it didn't get more than 50 to 60, maybe 80 feet away from me. Essentially none of it was charged. I didn't plan on playing with it long. I just wanted to get it out to see that I could get it off the ground, and in that I was successful. Again, it was a few minutes actually of having it up there, having it up in the sky before it gave me a low battery alert, and then I could hit a little button that brought it right back down to the ground. And I didn't even have to operate it in that sense. So
nice.
Very exciting. I'm excited to get all of the stuff charged up and maybe give it another whirl sometime soon. If anybody has Mavic tips, I'd be interested. And as I walked into Johnny's,
don't crash it.
I walked into Johnny's and I said, a lot of reviews and a lot of people will say that, oh, these things are incredibly easy to fly.
Mm-hmm.
These things are great. They're so easy. I would believe that if you are again, somewhat of a drone user already. I don't think like
You can't
it just
be that hard.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not like it blew my mind today, but I mean, there's a million little alerts and buttons on there, most of which I didn't obviously concern myself with. I can understand that if it's one of the easiest in all of the drones that are out there, but that's assuming you have a little bit of drone knowledge.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't crash it tonight or ever.
You're not going to crash this one.
Not going to crash it. How loud is it? It is, it wasn't, I mean, it was loud enough to be annoying, which is actually another point that was brought up on, somebody put it on, Ben Vosper from Arizona, put it on my wall today, and it was a heavily debated topic, which could have been discussed way earlier as something relevant. It was asked of, are we going to see drone footage more and more incorporated into live events? Why or why not?
We've talked about this, and we're going to go no
time soon.
Not until they get quieter. And I'm not so worried about them falling out of the sky, or really if you have a little bit of control, having a disc hit them in the sky. I'm not too concerned about that because a smart person knows where they should have them.
But what happens when you're
and that's what I'm saying. You would need to be, if this were ever to be the case, there would have to be some sort of vetting process in order to be able to fly a drone. Like, we would have to go to the PDG and say, hey, guess what? We have X experience doing this, or here's the guy that's going to do it. We're going to work with them. Say, you can't be on hole 1 at Fountain. You can't have your drone right in the middle of the pond flying. Because that's right in the way. Having someone behind them or. That's really the only safe place, behind or above them, because anywhere in front of them runs some sort of risk probably.
It does, and I think that's going to be one of the biggest. Obviously, that's one of the biggest concerns. And then, as we've said before, I think even just being conscientious of other groups, because you may be flying it and taking it off and landing it in one spot that's not disrupting the group that you're filming. But what happens when it's really actually entirely disrupting the card, before or after them?
And that's why I said we're not going to see it until they get quieter.
And until they have, at least any models we're working with, have a much longer, I feel like probably have a much longer battery life. I feel like the idea of it lasting at most 23 to 25 minutes, it seems like you're taking it up and taking it down.
Once a
frequently.
hole. Not quite. Maybe once every 3 holes. But
yeah,
I don't think that's so much a big deal. I think it's more the noise, the danger of it striking a disc or putting it in the wrong position. So it would be awesome to have some sort of drone coverage. But I mean, frankly, I don't know of any sport where I've seen that yet.
Well, someone had specifically posted on my wall, where a lot of this conversation was ultimately taking place, saying, let me find it. Someone had said about something about skiing. No, they were talking about
skiing,
downhill skiing. They used drone coverage at the World Cup ski event a couple of weeks ago, and it was fantastic coverage. Instead of cutting to a different camera every few seconds, it flowed seamlessly. I hope the problems can be worked out. I'd love to see this, referring to it in disc golf. And I said, completely different sports and budgets allow for that.
Well, and
I said they are likely working with drones that cost tens of thousands of dollars for live or recorded footage, and there is not the need for silence as there is for disc golf or ball golf. A single drone of theirs likely costs more than an entire weekend of us filming just one event. So,
yeah,
and most of those drones are operated by minimum of 2 people.
Yeah.
You're usually having someone fly a drone and then someone operate a camera. And then when it gets tied into a live capacity, I'm sure, obviously then there's other
people switching and
yeah.
But no, and on top of that, I was trying to think of how high you would have to be as a not that way. How high would the drone have to be in order to see the disc? Because we've seen that the drones travel at X amount of speed. Usually the discs are traveling at a faster speed.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be a little difficult. Now, unless you started from behind the person, and then as they threw it, if you could time it properly, chase the disc. But, wow, that would be really difficult, and I think you'd need a really professional crew to be able to do that. So.
And then there's continued conversation about mini blimps and all sorts of other things. There's, right now,
That'd be awesome. One of those blimps you see like when we go to the Admirals game that drops coupons
Yes,
just flying
or
around.
T-shirts.
Yeah, it drops coupons for T-shirts. Just to have that blimp flying around the course.
Yeah, I don't foresee that happening.
Dad's Drunk asks, are all the Disc Golf Pro Tour events live this year? As far as we know, yes.
The plan is yes.
There is one or two
Plan.
places we haven't been yet, and we're kind of relying on a couple people, so we are hopefully going to clear that up in the next couple weeks, but the plan is to have them all live.
Yes, that is what we're shooting for. And then speaking of non-live events, for those that haven't seen, I think it was since last week, I've posted
Maricopa?
the opening 9 holes and then the turn, or the middle 9 holes as I've called it, and then I'm hoping by tomorrow to have the final 9 holes. So the entire round was 27 holes, and I've split it up into 3 sets of 9. Hope that makes sense for everyone. Last year I did it in like a 14 and a 13 or a 13 and a 14 set. This year I did it in 3 9s. I don't know. So hope you guys enjoy that. Makes it all consumable. We're looking at like less than 20 minutes, I know, for the last one that it was. So look for that probably tomorrow to be posted.
Awesome.
And I think that's about all that I have there.
I was just looking, our next Patreon goal is another podcast, a monthly one, a monthly roundtable with some of the sports peoples. So
That would be neat.
that would be pretty cool.
We could have a round table.
I need a round table. This is a rectangular table, so we'll have to buy a new
we'll have
table.
to order a new
We'll have to
table.
get a new table.
That sounds like a great idea then.
That would be fun.
All right. What would is there an audience for women's instructional videos? Not much focus on women.
Yeah.
Here's what I there certainly could be. And this is it's not answering your question, but here's what I'm going to say. It doesn't directly answer your question, but here's something that I was just looking at today that I thought was at least mildly interesting. Oh, I'm 25 subscribers away from 20,000 on the Disc Golf Guy.
That's pretty cool.
Kind of random. Maricopa Meadows. And now, granted, it was 5 men that are playing in the event, but I was just looking at this that according to YouTube statistics and analytics, the viewers, 97% male, which is not abnormal. Let me clarify that. This is not, I'm not singling out this event for any reason, but of my last video, which now has, I don't know, 10,000 or so or whatever views, 97% male, 3% female, obviously. And the one more recently that I posted, exact same numbers. I think overall on, this could be an interesting stat, my lifetime of my channel, which is now gone just shy of 7 years, according to the YouTube statistics, viewership is 95% male to 5.2% female. Those women overachievers making it over 100%. But 5.2% female viewership to 95% male. So for what that's worth, 81% of my viewership for my channel in 7 years, 81% coming from United States.
And that's what we've traditionally seen, between 5 to 7% women viewers.
And I'm not saying anything about what you were just saying. I was just throwing out some random interesting stats and figures. And you see our PDGA membership almost echoes that. You're talking 6, 7, 8% of our membership is women. So our viewership and our membership, at least from my sample, and I think you'd find the same across the most YouTube channels.
I would be curious to know, and everyone says, how do they determine that? Who's watching? If you're not logged into your browser, do they set other cookies, and do they base that on other things that you've looked at? I don't know, because someone had said that something about 97% of men pay for the internet service. I don't think they look at your bill to find out what internet service you have, but they may look at your history. If they see you are constantly out on websites that are dedicated to female issues or blogs, they might assume that you are a female.
Yeah,
but otherwise, just based on probably what your login is. I mean, YouTube and Google in general has a ton of data. I would guess that it's probably pretty accurate.
And someone had asked a very legitimate question saying, What about the a women's video? And I have a great example. I a week or so ago released the final 9 holes of the women's, the advanced women's final 9 at the AM Worlds this year. You would think if there is a sweet spot of females to watch a video, advanced level play, where they would probably most associate with if you're a female watching disc golf. Would you say that's a fair assessment?
Probably.
I mean, you typically like to watch pros because they're the best.
No, yeah,
but
yeah,
I'm saying if there's somewhere where you're like, man, I want to watch, I'm a female and I'd like to watch some disc golf. These advanced women, I'm no Cat, I'm no, Paige. I can't throw 500 feet if I'm going to watch anything. So, according, again, after about a week or so worth of data, 95% male, 4.7% female. And that could just be my channel. I would think not, though. I would think, and maybe that's all of the disc golf channels, which are generally male, or I'm sorry, which is all of the channels which are most of the premier channels. Premier is maybe not the right word.
No. SmashBoxx is beating you. We are, for lifetime, 94% male, 5.9% female in general.
So that's SmashBoxx.
And that includes the podcast, that includes the broadcasts, because everything
live.
We do is
Yep.
But
so interesting. Danny, it says you're saying that 41% of my women watching are 25. No, okay.
Yeah, that's right. 40 of the women that are watching. So of the 5%, or whatever, the 3 or 4 or 5 or 6% of those percent, 41% are in that age group.
Okay. Chris says my biggest split of female viewers are on my mini stuff. The building disc golf stuff is 98% male. Cool One says, Terry, can you get more eyeballs by more female content, or do you think it's purely a disc golf numbers thing, period? I think I'll echo Sarah Hokum, who very much feels like there is a huge disparity here in that the men's are more viewed and more favored because there's not enough women's offered. I would love to go ahead and try to disprove that, or prove that actually, by offering more women's content. And that's maybe the only way. If I put up, for instance, I don't know how you're ever going to make it fully catch up, but if I put up 10 women's videos that were focused on women playing, and then 10 men centric videos or whatever. See, I don't know. I don't think you're ever going to get them all to equal out. And yeah, I don't know. I don't think you're going to see a huge shift. I think those are disc golf numbers. I think there is an obvious correlation that 6 to 8 to most 10. I'm going to say 6 to 8% of the people that sign up for the PDGA are female. So when I see 4 to 5 to 6% of the viewership being female, to me, I'm sorry, that makes, as much as I dislike it, that makes perfect sense. That's what I'll say to that. All right. Grim Soap says, I'd be interested to see what the stats would be for the DG Girl channel if the subscriber numbers were at least the views were high. I agree. And as I continue to develop that channel, there might be our test case. When that channel has more subscribers and it has a lot of content on it, let's review in a year just how many. Let's see what those percentages are there. Maybe a channel that is built solely for women, and I hate to even say it that way, but that solely focuses on women's disc golf. Let's see if those numbers are any different. If it's still 95% male, then I think we have our answers. That building a channel is the answer. And Danny, I would like to ask you that if there's anything that you feel that you've released that maybe you feel like it's gotten some views, or I don't want to say has run its course, but if there's any material that you feel is specific to women's disc golf that you don't mind sharing, that could also a copy maybe be put up on the Disc Golf Girls channel, I would certainly welcome it, just because we're trying to make that an overall resource as well. Of course, we would link back and everything else to you and the credits and all of that other stuff. But if there's anything you would, and I understand that's asking a lot, but if there's anything you want to share in terms of having an actual file that could also be put there to that channel to help it grow, I would, or anyone, I'll throw that out to anyone. If you've put together a great video and you feel like it specifically focuses on women's disc golf and you would just like it to be out there, I want to continue to grow the Disc Golf Girls channel for that reason. So something to think about. Disc Golf Nerd says, do you think we will need a female media team? Could that help? I think it would absolutely help. I think if you had, we'll just say, let's replace Jomez with a female version of Jomez, where there's 2 or 3 women, or a team that goes out and focuses solely on women's disc golf and disc golf coverage. I think it would help probably with the overall impression of it. Yes. I don't know if that answers you, but I think so. I'm hoping women's disc golf stays small until my daughters can grow up and dominate. Sounds self-serving, but I hear you, Chris.
Sounds vaguely familiar.
Love watching with they love watching with me, and the ladies card is covered too. I totally agree with you, Chris. We'd love to get more coverage and footage out there. All right. Well, and it's I don't know, those numbers. I think those numbers, good, bad, or indifferent, I think they speak volumes. When you have such a high percentage of seemingly, and maybe that's the next Google question that Johnny should have been on here, is how does YouTube determine sex? Maybe that's
yeah,
gender.
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 Go ahead. Type that in your browser history.
All right. So that's 2008. I don't think I don't know if I should trust that reference.
No.
But there's an article here in 2000. God, to think that's 9 years old. Demographics report helps you understand the age and blah blah blah. See how to use it. I don't know if it's going to give me any answers. Johnny, you're the researcher. I don't know how they figure it out, but like Johnny said, I'm going to trust that they have some idea what they're doing.
Like I said, I know that they're watching your browsing habits. They're watching other things you're doing. You know, it could be who's logged into the computer or the browser itself. Like, obviously, I log myself into Chrome. If my wife were to come in here and watch something, it would probably report it as a male. But, yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of ways they can narrow this down.
Cool one. I'm not sure what you're talking about. You said the Disc Golf Girl channel is just Zoe's intro. There's no content.
Is there no intro? Is there no content on there yet?
No, I just uploaded. I want to give me a copy of the. You need to give me a copy of the symposium, which I'd also like to put there. The disc. I just uploaded that Am Worlds Final 9 there, and there's content. So I'm not sure what you're seeing. I see Vibram Open, Katrina Allen, montage with Paige Pierce, Sarah Hokum, Val Jenkins, Vibram stuff, more Vibram stuff, Disc Golf Pro Tour stuff. I see a video by Sarah Lamberson. Excuse me. Are you going to the Disc Golf Girl?
Oh, I went to user/Disc Golf Girl. That's why.
You just youtube.com/the Disc Golf Girl. And Johnny sees it on his browser.
Yep. Yeah, there's a few. I'm looking
cool
at.
one. Come on. Get with the program. Bro. Do you even internet?
There's
Do you even Googles?
There's 9 different videos out there. So, yeah.
Is Terry not covering women's golf? I'm going to cover it as much as I can and as much as contracts and time provide me to do so. So, no, there's not saying I'm not. Everyone else is saying they don't know what you're talking about. All right, disc golf in schools, and we'll see a spike in women play. Let's hope so. All right, it's not any different than any other sport, really. How many women watch football highlights on YouTube? And Rocky Mountain Women's Disc Golf Championships is this year. Yes, it is, Danny. And I'm working with the amazing TD Ray Woodruff to find some representation to make sure that I can get that event covered. And I'd like to get my daughter to have that be her first ever tournament. So that's my plan. All right, we're going to call it. It's been a great Valentine's. 11:59. We're going to end this on Valentine's night. Now for Philo, who joined us earlier, along with Dana, we appreciate those guys in the regular show. We appreciate all of our Patreon supporters. Thank you, Rebecca Duffy, who won the giveaway here tonight at the top of the show. Thank you for her support, along with everyone else that gives it. We appreciate it. So for Johnny V and myself, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, that's been Valentine's night here in 2017. We'll see you next week from Vegas. Oh, man, I'm going to have to live stream from all over and just report from the tables and report from the slot machines.
The polls.
The polls. I'll be voting.
Yep,
That's
lots of
what you're
voting.
talking about.
Lots of voting.
You
Tuesday
got
night
it.
voting.
Tuesday night voting. We all love it. We'll see you guys next week. Again, reporting from Vegas. Looking forward to it. We'll see you then when you step inside the slot box.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the video credits. If you're interested in being listed as a producer on SmashBoxx TV's podcast, please visit patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV.